What is happening out there, Rotoscouts baseball fans? Good afternoon, gang. My name's Terry McBride. Welcome to the Rotoscouts lineup card live show to break down two very different MLB DFS slates. Apologies for the little 10-15 minute delay there from the originally scheduled 4 o'clock start time. Had a pitching change that I had to take care of real quick, and then I had to get some lineups updated on the website for all these confirmed lineups that dropped. We've got basically all of the lineups in. Who knows who's playing in the NBA tonight, but baseball, we know hours ahead of time. If you're looking for NBA projections, they will be up after this show is done. Didn't have enough hours in the day to get all this stuff. Hockey for an 11-gamer with everybody changing their lines up, and basketball before doing this show for a 6:40 start on DK. As mentioned, different slates. 12-gamer starting at 6:40 on DK, 7-gamer in the 7 o'clock hour on the FanDuel slate. So wildly different across sites. A lot to talk about. Welcome. Andy's here, Steven's here, Cujo's here, a few other people hanging out. We're going to kind of dive on in and just tackle this thing quick, fast, and in a hurry, as they say. I'm going to try and make good time. If I get us out of here before 6, that would be ideal. 6 o'clock is going to be like a fairly hard stop, though, because I do have to get those NBA projections finished up. Fortunately, they go fairly quickly these days, even with all the messy nastiness in the NBA. But I hope you guys are doing well out there. Second day of your work week. Hopefully it's going by quickly and smoothly. It's going to be a cold one in a lot of areas around the country, including the New York area tonight. Apparently a little bit cold. Some games moved around schedule-wise to accommodate that. I know they moved the Cleveland game up early in the afternoon. But a lot to work with today. Starting out with the Reds at the Marlins, a 7-run total there, 3.31 implied on the Red side, 3.76 on the Miami side. It's Andrew Abbott going up against Sandy Alcantara. Sandy's back to his old tricks, complete game shutout in his last outing, 3-hitter, 7 strikeouts. That is Sandy Alcantara at his best. So if he's going to be doing that, and as we've talked about a bunch with him, all we're looking for is that depth, and he's gone 7 in one start, full 9 in the other. I think we can count on the depth. I've got him projected for a nice solid start here, like Sandy, and both those teams, that leans a little bit more pitching, but I think the Marlins are the more interesting team at the 3.76 implied going up against Andrew Abbott. We get the return of Vitor Assad in the show for the Cubbies. They're going up against the Tampa Bay Rays. 4.13 implied on the Rays side in a home game for them. That was your pitching change. Drew Rasmussen scratched for the birth of his child, apparently. And we are going to get, I believe, Mason Englert opening, and I'm not sure if they've announced a bulk reliever. We have to look into that or just kind of punt that spot. But I've got it set up right now with Mason Englert. I don't think we're considering Tampa Bay pitching against the Cubs. And it did give the Cubs a little minor nudge in the implied total, but they are still slight underdogs in that game, 3.95 on the road, but that's the better of the two lineups. Paul Skeens on the bump for the Pirates. No real thought toward going much toward the Padres outside of getting a little bit different around a few good players up toward the top of that lineup, but that's a pushover lineup as you get further south in that lineup. So if you're not playing the top 3-4 hitters there, you're probably skipping over the Padres. Skeens, maybe not peak Skeens over his first 2 starts. Obviously that ugly disaster where O'Neal Cruz melted down on him and he got charged with a bunch of earned runs in the first one. And then the second one went 5 innings, just gave up 1 earned run, 3 hits, struck out 5, walked 2. It was perfectly fine, but it's not a Paul Skeens level start. 2.75 implied total for the Padres. Vegas likes Skeens to get things going today. It's Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Pods. He's a very solid pitcher as well. 3.31 implied on the Pirates side. They're showing a little bit of power in the home run model, though. Jacob Misiorowski against Garrett Crochet. Dynamite pitching matchup in Boston. That's a really interesting one. 3.19 implied total for the Brewers against Crochet. Brewers just doing their thing yet again this year. Off to one of the best starts in baseball. Score runs. They just manufacture runs without having maybe superstars. We could see a brawl between the Contreras brothers tonight. We almost had it last night. That'll get really interesting. They hit Wilson again, and he went a little nuts. Should be a fun one there in Boston. I think we're leaning pitching on either side, but between the two lineups, the 3.88 implied total for the Red Sox against Misiorowski is probably the more appealing. They've just been shot in the foot getting out of the gate early this season. What are they, 2-8, I think? Matthew Liberatore, 2 clean starts, only 2 strikeouts in each game, gave up a home run in each game, but only 1 earned run in each of his first 2 starts, over 6 innings against the Mets, 5 innings against the Rays. That's pretty much what we can expect from Liberatore. I don't think we're going to get those strikeouts that we saw in the spring. I mentioned that before his first start, that those were probably going to go away, but I do think we get some clean, effective, low scoring, minimal hits, minimize offense type starts where he pitches 6 innings, 6+ deep into games, gives us a shot at a quality start and a win here and there. Not a bad spot either going up against that Nationals lineup as a lefty. So I kind of like that spot for Liberatore. Maybe he's a little sneaky, lower end type guy. Kate Cavalli going back the other way against that developing young Cards team. 3.71 implied for the Cards, 3.87 implied for the Nationals. Pick your poison if you're going bats there. Don't really love either of those lineups right now. The Athletics against the New York Yankees, 4.90 implied total for the Yanks. They're going up against Aaron Savali, one of the top stacks on the board, loaded up with offense. Again, it's going to be cold in New York, but that may not matter with Savali on the bump. And then Cam Schlittler has been rocking and rolling over his first 2, 7 strikeouts in one, 8 strikeouts in another. The best thing about Schlittler in the second start against Seattle, 6 1/3. Boone let him go back out there to start the 7th inning. Didn't let him complete it, but it's good that he got through the 6th and went out again. Typically, Boone's got a very quick hook and a quick hook with a kid like Schlittler. So I'm a little bit less concerned maybe. Last time I had him fairly hard capped on the innings. This time I let him have his full 6. But if he gets in any trouble at all in that 6th inning, he will not complete it. So just know that going in. But Schlittler's been great and, looks the part of a solid second, third type starter at worst. Yoshi Yamamoto against Kevin Gausman. Gausman dealing in terms of strikeouts, 10 in one game, 11 in the other, 6 innings in both games, only giving up 1 earned run across the 12 innings so far. But he's got a different animal in town tonight with the Los Angeles Dodgers. We saw them destroy yesterday's slate. Sucked for me. I ran into a issue. I had somebody's player number messed up. And when I went to upload lineups, I was fortunately only playing a handful of lineups, but I had to drop that first game because the lineups weren't working. It was some player in there. I didn't even figure out who it was. I had screwed something up on my entry when I tried to upload the lineups, and it was just rejecting him. So I wiped that game off since it was the early start. But unfortunately, that took the explosive Dodgers stack off the board for me. Still liked my overall lineups. Blue Jays going up against Yamamoto, 3.73 implied total for them. The 4.36 is where you want to target for the Dodgers. But that said, Gausman is good. He's a gettable ace. We've talked about him before, but right now, peak form. So you're kind of playing with fire. You can see what the form of Gausman is doing to that Dodgers total. 4.36, not particularly high for them, but a good total on this board. A lot of low totals today. The Tigers and the Twins, a lot of low totals because we've got pitchers like Tarek Skubal going and the guys in the last game. Skubal, obviously, ace of the slate, top projected guy, fire away against the Twins. He should buzz through them. Taj Bradley going back the other way. Taj has been all right to start the season. Just 1 earned run over his 10 1/3 innings, 9 strikeouts and 4 1/3 in the first game. Just 3 came back down to earth against the low strikeout Royals in his second start, but was clean. 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs. Solid start. Only 1 walk as well. Something to watch with Taj. The Mariners, the Rangers. By the way, everything, we start the FanDuel slate at that Athletics at Yankees game. The first 5 there are the DraftKings only slate. Unplugging and replugging my mouse here. So where were we? Mariners and the Rangers, George Kirby, Nathan Eovaldi, another pair of very, very good right-handed pitchers. Some good run limiting in that game. 3.84 implied to 3.85 implied total against a 3.73. Definitely another good spot to mine pitching. Upside in both lineups around the talents, but I think we lean fairly strongly toward pitching there. If I had to pick one of these lineups, it'd be a little bit of a low-owned, sneaky angle. I think I take the Mariners. The Astros and the Rockies, Coors Field, 11-run total. It started at 10.5, 6.22 implied, 6.23 implied for the Astros. That's your spot going up against Kyle Freeland. Mike Burrow's on the mound for Houston. I'm curious to see how he holds up in Coors. 4.91 implied total for the Rockies. Obviously, there's meat on the bone there, and we talked a bunch already about how people tend to go less to the Rockies than they do to their opponent when they're playing in Coors Field. But Burrows is a good pitcher. We just saw that whatever the hell the guy's name was yesterday, the replacement level guy. We talked about him maybe being able to go 4 and strike out 5 for $4,000 on DraftKings. That is precisely what he did. I think he gave up 2 runs along the way. So you probably got a decent day out of that $4,000 guy. I actually ended up using him at 55 in just one lineup on FanDuel because it let me connect a 3-3-2 with, what was it, Astros, Braves, and somebody. And just like all the prime hitters from that. So it was an interesting enough lineup. Don't think it cashed. But Burrow's not coming in at that kind of price point, so we probably don't play that game with him today, even though he's a much more talented pitcher. 6 strikeouts in each of his first 2 starts. First one was bumpy, gave up 5 earned, only 2 earned in the second start against Boston, but just 5 innings in each one. I don't think we get a ton of depth out of Burrows yet. Atlanta and the Angels at 8.5 run total there. 4.62 implied on the Atlanta side because Yusei Kikuchi's on the mound. We know what a roller coaster he can be. He can find the quality from time to to time, but a ton of power showing from the Braves, and you got to stick around for a while. The home run pick of the day is coming from that next to last game. Just under a 4 implied total for the Angels. They're going up against someone, Reynaldo Lopez, on the mound for the Braves. Gettable starter. I don't completely dislike that Angels lineup. We'll take a look at them. They definitely have some power showing. And then we round things out with another Phillies-Giants game. Sub 4 totals for both, but the Phillies showing a little bit more quality against Robbie Ray. Ray has been, right at Robbie Ray levels. Giving up a home run in each of his first 2 starts, but only 2 earned, limited hits. 3 walks in the second one was problematic, but struck out 7. Only 4 strikeouts in the first one, but didn't walk anybody. Erratic nature of Robbie Ray continues, but we know we can target him for some power upside, given the way that he gives up the premium contact. But we also know that he can tear his way through teams from time to time with the strikeouts. Sorting by DK, so you're going to have some empty spots here on FanDuel. The projections are in there. If you're playing the early slates, you'll see the projections for FanDuel as we go through these. The 5-game, 640-something slate on FanDuel, but everybody's price is going to be zeroed out. And I'm not really going to be talking about that slate, so just know that, but you can follow along as and a lot of what I say about DraftKings will apply. Tarek Skubal, you're the class of the day on both sites, though. I do feel like it's a day where at least the top 3 don't really need much windup. Those are the 3 top starters in baseball and fantasy baseball and on the field. Next 3 guys are on both slates, and that is a very good trio as well. Love George Kirby as much as I like everybody from that Seattle rotation that we've talked about a ton. Upper medium strikeout rates, low walk rates, fantastic K-B rates overall. Very, very good right-handed pitching. Kirby is dramatically discounted at 8,200 on DraftKings, by the way. That is stupid cheap for George Kirby. You can pair him probably 80 for him and Skeens at 9. I know that's expensive as a pairing, but you could probably get away with that on a 12-gamer with so much to work with bats-wise. That's an interesting spot. 10-3 on FanDuel to illustrate the price difference. Yamamoto, ace caliber, but that is a good low strikeout Blue Jays lineup overall, and they're going to be looking, obviously, for some revenge from last night in that rematch of the World Series last year. Not that that means anything, but it is a good lineup to go against. 10,000, a little bit more than I'm comfy paying with all these good options up there on FanDuel. 92 is a little bit more reasonable maybe on DraftKings. Chrissy Sanchez, I actually like a little bit better probably against a lower-end Giants lineup that's scuffling out of the gate. He's 800 more expensive, though, so you got to make up that difference with that scoring. 500 different on the DraftKings slate. Pivetta against the Pirates for only 7,700. I tell you what, there's your pairing. George Kirby for 82 and Nick Pivetta from 77. Double middle on that is pretty great. And you've also got Cam Schlittler at 85 and Nathan Eovaldi at 78 sitting right there to do that with. You could play that same game with Robbie Ray at 8 with Kevin Alcantara. It was Sandy Alcantara. Kevin Alcantara, no. Sandy Alcantara at 83. Miz at 87 isn't mispriced, but he's out of that range just by a little bit. But having 5 guys, Kirby, Pivetta, Eovaldi, Ray, and Alcantara in the low 8s to 7s, that's generous on DraftKings tonight. Really, really generous. Eovaldi's effectively priced at 85 on FanDuel. Ray's playable at 82 over there. Gausman at 91, just a really tough matchup for him against the Dodgers. Playing with fire with Kikuchi, but he's very inexpensive. Can find the strikeout from time to time. There are Ks in that Atlanta lineup. It wouldn't knock me out of my chair if Kikuchi had one of his plus days today. 6,400, probably not throwing the dart on FanDuel with so much good pitching available. But that is the most reasonable discount pitcher on FanDuel. You don't want Savali. You don't want Freeland. Burrows at Coors probably a no for more money. Taj, Ronaldo. It probably is Kikuchi if you got to get ultra cheap on FanDuel. He's the only guy you can see, how separated he is from these other two. On DraftKings, that's a totally different game, though. You've got Cavalli at 57 is kind of reasonable against that St. Louis lineup. That is a lineup filled with young kids. There's a couple danger spots, but he could succeed at that price. Ronaldo's reasonable against the high strikeout Angels, but they do flash power. Taj, in play, but only kind of a meh option. I need to see more out of Taj before I really buy in on any of this. Abbott's playable, but that Miami lineup may be a little bit better than they get credit for, and then we hit this bottom stretch. I do think Liberatore at 63 is playable as an SP2, but do we need him when I can get to these cheapo combinations up here? Yeah, it saves me another 1,000, but that 1,000 might be chewed up by his lack of strikeout. So know that there is a little bit of an asterisk on his cheap price tag. Assad, Savali, Freeland, and Mason Englert for an inning are all probably no's. Ignore Englert at that 4,000. I don't think you're going to get more than an inning out of him. All right. Can you go lie down, please? A lot to do. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you get a chance. Check out rotoscouts.com. Get access to all the projections, hitter, pitcher projections, top stacks, power index, snapshots of all these statistical outlays so you can get all of this. Right now, they're still showing the 25 stats, 26 I put up for the show, so we have something to talk about for this year, but it's all still meaningless. I'm going to try and say that once and repeat it 37 different times as we go through this stuff. Let's get it rolling. Low totals in Miami to start things off. Scroll back up to the top of my pitcher sheet here. Andrew Abbott, 5 2/3 last time out, but gave up 4 earned to the Pirates. Could be that kind of a day here again against the Marlins. Pirates probably a little bit better than the Marlins, but they do have some quality in this lineup now. Austin Slater's a platoon specialist against left-handed pitching. Agustin Ramirez is a fearsome right-handed bat. Jacob Marcy, not bad. There's some, I struggle to say quality, but it's a lineup of capable C+ type players, right? They're not D's and F's. These guys are okay. So for a pitcher like Abbott, comes in with an 18.8% strikeout rate in his 2 starts last season, pitched to a 21.8, had a 2.87 ERA, but a much, much higher 4.31 xFIP, 4.20 SIERA, the definition of a league average type lefty. I do think the Marlins could find some success, but it's probably more a case of just they don't make Abbott appealing. He doesn't necessarily push them up the board. Everything falls into the middle. Sandy is the target here, 8,300, great price on DraftKings, as mentioned. 2 absolutely dynamite starts to get the season rolling. Struggled a little bit in his return last year. 31 starts, only 174 2/3. Not his typical depth, a sub 20% strikeout rate, 5.36 ERA, but a run lower in the xFIP, the SIERA department. This season, few extra strikeouts, low walk rate, solid. Not spectacular. That's the name of the game with Sandy. You're just looking for the 7 innings, the 8 to 9 inning starts, the complete game bonuses, and so on and so forth. And he's very capable of doing it. He's also back to inducing a 15% swinging strike rate in the tiny meaningless sample. Fire away with Sandy against these Reds. On the Reds side, you've got one lurking superstar in Elly De La Cruz at 5,800. That's a good purchase. Elly's got 3 home runs on the board. He's stolen a base already out of the gate. Okay. Substandard xWOBA in the tiny sample, but that will probably normalize. Last year, 22 homers, 37 stolen bases. Needs to find absolute consistency, but the upticks are gigantic and the gaps are fewer and further between. TJ Friedl, Matt McLean, good way to get things started. Friedel's just a capable enough player. Ignore this year's 41 plate appearances. They've been terrible, 39 WRC plus. Last year, 261, 364, 378. That's what we're looking for. Had a 109 WRC plus. Just a guy who can get on base ahead of the bigger bats. Did hit 14 home runs, stole 12 bases himself. McLean can drive the ball, 12.5% barrel in a tiny sample so far, but hasn't really generated a much hard hit. 216, 356, 243. He's gotten on a few times, but hasn't really delivered much. 339 xWOBA lurking under the 296 WOBA over just 45 plate appearances. Again, nothing actually to talk about there, but those 45 plate appearances should have been better than they have. So there's a little bit of an indicator. Sal Stewart, tons of power. Great premium contact marks in a small sample so far. Pair of home runs in 42 plate appearances already. He is expected to mash throughout the season. Not going to go 353, 476 on the front end of the slash line, but a bunch of homers and a lot of power are definitely in play. If he maintains that low strikeout rate at 14.3% against the 19% walk, he's not gonna. But if he did anything near that, that is a star, a burgeoning star. Joanio Suarez, we're just looking for the home run ball. He's got 2 on the board already. Slow start otherwise, but Joanio's great. We know that. And 4,600, not a bad price. 3,000 for Spencer Steer. Tyler Stevenson at 31, where you need catchers. Not a bad couple of righties down lineup. And then Noelvi Marte and Brian Hayes. Hayes has always been low strikeout, put good bat on ball, but never sees production for it. And then Noelvi Marte, total wild card, 14 pretty bad plate appearances so far. Stevenson's already hit 2 home runs. He does have a little pop in the bat as a cheapo catcher. You can see the barrels, the hard hits over the last few years. All very intact so far going into this season and cheap at that spot. But tackling Sandy, I don't love it. As mentioned, Slater specializes against left-handed pitching for 2,400. It's not a bad way to start a Marlin stack. He's just a guy who's going to go out there and hit for average, maybe create a couple of runs. So far, not great in 17 plate appearances, but you let him find his footing for 24. If you're going to this team, you pair him with Agustin Ramirez, who last season as a rookie, 11% barrels, 47% hard hits. Ended the season with 585 plate appearances and 21 home runs, which is fantastic for any catcher, and let alone a rookie catcher. So tremendous upside given the catcher eligibility. Marcy has a decent hit tool and speed. He has not shown the hit tool. He's only stolen 1 base so far, and he has a 14 WRC plus. But we're going to roll him out in the 3 spot because last year over 234 chances, stole 14 bags, creator runs 33% better than average. Otto is off to a good start. 1 home run on the board, slashing 351, 415, 514, 162 WRC plus. Been one of their best players so far. He's not that guy, but he's capable enough. He's also not a traditional cleanup hitter, but he is a guy who can be low strikeout, put the ball in play. 13.8% strikeout, 7.4% walk last year. Similar numbers around that. So you can play Otto. I don't love the $4,000 price tag, but it's inoffensive, especially when it's paired with Heriberto Hernandez in the next spot at just 28. Heriberto's got a lot of pop in that bat, 10.9% barrel, 45% hard hit last season. Similar marks in a sample of only a handful of batted ball events so far. It's just cheap pop that you can grab there and make up the price gap on, say, Marcy and Lopez if you're just averaging. Connor Norby, another guy, okay ability to drive the ball. We'll see. I think a big difference for Norby is going to be if he can maintain these gains that he's made in this meaningless 33 plate appearances versus what he did strikeout and walk-wise over the last couple of years. That makes him an improved hitter, gives him more opportunity to succeed via the batted ball. We will see where it goes, but he has found the barrel in the last couple of seasons, not yet so much this year. Xavier Edwards off to a very good start, 432, 462, 595, just needs to keep getting on base. But if he's going to deliver via the hit tool and keep strikeouts down, draw some walks along the way, it's an interesting option to fill some categories for DFS. Should probably be hitting higher up in the lineup. Leo Jimenez and Javier Sanoa mix and match pieces. Sanoa's off to an interesting start. 375, 500. Maybe something to watch, but not a big bat. Sandy, Marlins, Abbott, Reds. Michael's here. What's going on, buddy? Got a fantastic slate tonight. No shortage of pitchers, that's for sure. I appreciate you, buddy. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for coming. There's no show for me without you guys. So thank you guys. Monty says, Tuesday afternoon, baseball gods activated, Rocket Red countdown liftoff. Come in here talking about your Red Rocket. Get Joker all excited. Cubs, 396 implied. Rays, 413 implied. It's Mason Englert on the bump. So let me see if I can track down any info on that. Anybody got that in their line of sight? I spotted it literally after I had already delayed the show, and I just grabbed them and threw them in. All right, so this does look like it's just going to be a pure bullpen game. Englert on the mound to open. He threw an inning 3 days ago, another inning on the first. You could maybe say he's going to throw 2, maybe 3, and if they really want to stretch him. But you're not getting any kind of a playable start here. 4,000 in his 3 innings. He's only struck out 14.3% of hitters. The stuff doesn't really measure up. It looks like he's given up a few home runs in that tiny sample. What's that? What does that amount to? 2 home runs in his first appearance on March 29th. Pitched clean in the other 2. Only 2 strikeouts in the 3 innings so far. Last season, over 44 2/3, a slightly more fair sample. 23.8% strikeout against 5.9% walk. That's adequate, but not great out of the bullpen. Substandard stuff. Gave up not that bad a home run rate, but a lot of barrels, a lot of emergency level of hard hits in the exit velo. So this is definitely a gettable guy who's going to be in here for about an inning, and then we're handing off to the Rays bullpen that's been all over the map to start this season. So definitely an interesting spot for the Cubbies. I would maybe say that they probably weren't a little bit better than that 396 implied total. I did check it after the pitching change, and that's where it is, but it seems light. On their side, Javier Assad, 6,500. I don't think we're going there. His first start in the show this season. He did make spring training starts. He had 3 starts in the spring. Was okay. Got stretched out to 3 innings, 2 1/3 in his last spring start. And then he went down. He made 2 AAA starts on the 27th and on the 2nd. The first one, 3 innings, faced 15 hitters. 3 hit them, shut them out. Was pretty effective. Struck out 5 against the Guardians affiliate. Then he faced the Reds affiliate, and he went 4 innings, gave up 11 hits, 7 earned runs, a pair of home runs, struck out 2 and walked 3 against AAA hitters. So probably not the guy we want. I think that leads us to some Rays bats. I think it also leads us to some Cubs bats. If we're starting with the Cubbies, Nico up at the top. Good way to start things off. Big contract signed, 4,400. Average hits for average, gets on base, steals some bags, out to a 419 on base with 4 stolen bases already. Creating runs 45% better than average in his 43 plate appearances. So Nico it's what he does. You just want him as connective tissue to get to Michael Busch, Alex Bregman, PCA, and so on. but that's not a bad leadoff option for that type of guy, the light hitting type. Nico's pretty good. Bush, no home runs so far this season. Pretty bad start over 42 plate appearances that don't mean anything. Last year, he blasted 34 long balls, had a 378 xWOBA under a 369 actual. That is a tremendous power bat from the left side. Has limited strikeout and drawn some walk in the tiny sample. Wasn't bad for strikeout. Had improved it from 28.6 in 2024 to 23.5 last year. Pretty dramatic improvement in the strikeout rate. If he can do that, and I'm not saying he's staying down at 14%, but let's say we can cut that 23 down to 20. Even shave it even a little bit more, put it back into the walk. That's another big bump for a guy who's already pretty good. Alex Bregman at just 42, not a bad option. 9.88 in the home run model, in between Bush's 12.86 and PCA's 10.16. Bregman, slow start to his Cubs career, except for a pair of home runs. Had a good year last year, missed some time, but effective when he was available. Not a bad option at that price against a bullpen game. PCA 55 feels a little expensive. We've talked about PCA's up and down season last year. He was absolutely incredible through long stretches and primarily through the first 2/3 of the season. Kind of died on the vine, withered a little bit as things started to get colder again. But not a great start this year, but tons and tons of talent. 3 stolen bases is the upside. 42 WRC plus is the downside so far. Miguel Amaya, 3,900, cheap catcher where you need it. Moises Ballesteros, cheaper catcher where you need it. Between the two, Miguel Amaya is off to the better start. Ballesteros, the kid, is probably the better overall talent. Pick your poison. Either way with those guys, you can play the price game. Amaya probably gets a little bit more popular, just given the 15 good plate appearances versus the 22 bad plate appearances. I'm not sure if people know that Ballesteros is actually better. Dansby, 3,300. Very, very good shortstop, off to a mix and match quality start. Over 39 plate appearances. Does have a home run on the board, but good season last year. 24 homers, 20 stolen bases. Ended up 99 WRC plus, slightly below average despite the good counting stats. Might end up in that same territory. You know, anything 95 to 105 WRC plus, I would believe. But I wouldn't believe much lower WRC plus on this side of the end of the season. Where I would buy into higher. I think he could go above the 105, but I don't think he goes much below the 95. So we've got a lot of safe upside still with Dansby. A lot of talent here. Still hitting the ball very, very squarely. So not a bad option. Michael Conforto, mix and match piece from the bottom until further notice, but a lefty bat for just 2,300 that still presumably has some pop in it. And then Matt Shaw, another guy, mix and match level talent at the bottom, does have a pair of home runs and a stolen base on the board. Only 241 on base so far this season, and last year's on base was 295. So it doesn't exactly make him an ideal wraparound, even though he steals a base every now and again when he's on. On the Rays side, potentially as desirable a lineup, more desirable of a lineup. I think I kind of feel like this entire game is like a run shy on the total, given the pitching. Right? Like we just made that a 9-run total, 4.45 against 4.65. I think that's where we really are with this game. I feel like it's light. But anyway, Johnny Diaz, 4,900 on DraftKings, 415, 489, 634 start to his season, 223 WRC plus, over 47 plate appearances. We love John D around here, have for years. One of the most underrated players in baseball. 300, 366, 482 greater runs, 35% better than average, and hit 25 home runs last season. Jonathan Aranda, plenty of thump in that bat. Has 3 home runs on the board this season, which is good to see given the light home run total, despite all the premium contact last year. Had a fantastic slash line, was a good run creator. So far this year, the slash line struggling over a meaningless sample, but tons and tons of upside. That is a good lefty bat at 4,300. You can play him and John D in the same lineup, but you cannot play him, John D, and Junior Caminero in the same lineup on DraftKings, which kind of sucks because you want all 3 of those bats. Those are the 3 best guys. 5,600 for Caminero, not inappropriate. 2 home runs on the board already this season in 46 plate appearances. Dude's just a masher. Jake Fraley in between those guys, an adequate outfielder from the left side. 3,000 mix and match piece. You play Jake Fraley for some correlation here. Does have more talent than his 26 plate appearances this year would show. 6 home runs, 4 stolen bases, and just 217 last year. This is a decent season. 277, 330, 386, got on base a lot, stole some bases, but only a 95 WRC plus that year. And then the year before, 15 homers, 21 steals, a 107 WRC plus was the Jake Fraley we're looking for, but we're now 3 years removed from that guy. Chandler Simpson off to one of the better starts in terms of run creation this season. 159 WRC plus, has a 401 WOBA, but a 318 xWOBA. one of the more dramatic overperformances you will ever see. But he's one of those guys that it's just the speed is something that they don't entirely account for in those marks. And that's where guys like him with the hit tool plus the ultra premium speed can beat those marks pretty consistently. So I don't expect he's going to go 400 plus in the WOBA department all season long, but I do expect a fairly dramatic overperformance in the weighted on base versus the expected mark, just given what his skill set is. Incredibly good at limiting strikeout, draws the low number of walks, so you're just getting balls in play, and he can beat a dribbler back to the pitcher to first base without a problem. So just a really interesting player. 4,000 stolen bases plus a fantastic hit tool and an ability to reach first base. Said Mullins, former 30-30 guy, 2,500 is an inoffensive price. 1 home run, pair of stolen bases on the board in an otherwise terrible start. A 3 WRC plus so far. Nick Fortes, mashing to start the season. Home run on the board, 345, 387, 552, greater runs. 415 WOBA, but a 357 actual. But I tell you what, if he gives you a 357 in the actual for the season, you're very happy with Nick Fortes. Not a bad price on that catcher bat. He's making quality contact in terms of the hard hit anyway. It's up significantly over last year in this tiny sample, but the barrel rate hasn't changed. Again, none of these numbers actually mean anything in 31 plate appearances. Just something to watch. Richie Palacios, Taylor Walls, just mix and match pieces down the bottom. I will give it to the Rays. Rays bats, Cubs bats, but it's probably closer than the Vegas totals might suggest. And again, both those feel like a half a run and change low. And I wouldn't want any of the pitching in this game for any reason. Up to 8.5 money. I bet we hit 9. 8.5 makes a lot more sense though. Rays bullpen has been bad to start the year. Yeah, they've got some good arms out there, but definitely has been bad. Joe Andres Gomez, they're saying maybe some innings behind him. Not something I'm going to project, but good to know. It wouldn't be necessarily something to fear. 62 2/3, 9 starts, 21 games last season, 5.17 ERA, a 5.26 FIP. 4.81 xFIP, 20.9% strikeout, 9.7% walk. So, yeah, 3 innings of Gomez is not exactly going to intimidate anybody. But that's not one I'll drop into the projections. But good call out there. Appreciate it. Padres, sub 3 implied total. Not a lot to talk about with their offense except for maybe getting contrarian. But you're getting contrarian against one of the best pitchers in the game. I know we got out to a bumpy start over 2 starts. I am not at all concerned. I think you just fine form and you rock and roll the rest of the season, and this could be a good spot to do it. So Paul Skeens, absolutely yes. 5 2/3 in 2 starts is bizarre, as is a 9.53 ERA. You might never see an ERA as high as his ERA has been for the last 10 days and the rest of Paul Skeens' entire career. It's just absurd. 6.17 xFIP, 5.12 Sierra, same thing. You will not see those numbers be that high. He'll find it, don't worry. Not the greatest target in the world, though. I mean, the Pods low strikeout among their quality bats. Their RK is down toward the bottom of the lineup, but not in the way that it looks this year in these numbers, right? Those guys all fairly consistently are lower, more toward league average strikeout. So this is where you want to focus. And it's really around average to a little bit better than average. So not the best strikeout target. We're probably looking at a 5-6 strikeout day from Skeens, but I think we get our 6 innings. I think we get our quality start. I think we get our limiting of runs and so on. Going the other way, Pivetta for 77 is a good purchase. 8 innings in his 2 starts. Let's see where those went. 5 innings in the second one. Struck out 8. 1 hitter. Didn't give up any runs to San Francisco. Bumpy's first start only lasted 3. That was against the Tigers. I remember that one now. 6 earned runs and 7 hits. Struck out 4 and walked 3. Just got out of the gate a little on the wrong foot. But this is a very good pitcher. Last season, Pivetta, 31 starts, 181 2/3, 26.4% strikeout, 19.42 strikeout minus walk, 2.87 ERA. The xFIP, the Sierra, full run higher than that ERA, but still sub 4. Those are good marks. Does give up a lot of premium contact, something to watch. Over the line, over the line, over the line on all 3 marks on a 19.1 degree average launch. So a lot of fly balls with a lot of oomph behind them. 3.05% home run, probably lucky to be there. So far in the two starts, the 8 innings this year, those premium batted ball events have not happened, but we need a larger sample to say that that's actually going to be the case. If you're choosing the Padres, again, you want to live in those Well, I tell you what, I'll give you top 7. Even you know what? You can play the full lineup. I changed my mind. The bottom with Sheets, Andujar, Freddie Furman, and Jake Cronenworth is not terrible. Mostly Furman being the min price does have its value on DraftKings if you're using this team already. Maybe even has a little arguable value, even though he's facing Paul Skeens, just as a one-off throw-in catcher that nobody's going to use just because he's min-price. If there's any other min-price catcher playing against any other pitcher not named Tarek Skubal on this slate, though, he's probably a better option for you from that angle. But Freddie does have an interesting hit tool. Jake Cronenworth does get on base. 3,000 from the wraparound spot. Not a terrible option from the bottom. Andujar's got a good hit tool. Fits into 2 positions. Cheap. Gavin Sheets, a little pop in the bat from the left side. Okay hit tool. Fairly discerning hitter over the years. Not a great start in terms of strikeouts over his 27 plate appearances so far, but a sub 20% strikeout last year. 21-2 the year before. 19-2 the year before that. And then you get the top end. The top 5 is what I was going to say you really want to focus on. And it's really, truly the top 4. But it's not bad. Bogey in the middle for only 3,700 is affordable, if nothing else. Slow start over 42. Ended up, we saw a lot of this last year. It would be 40 bad plate appearances or mediocre plate appearances, 40 pretty good ones. Finished the season with 11 homers, 20 stolen bases, just over the line, 104 WRC plus. So an above average contributor, but just barely. And that's why he costs 37. Manny at 48 is cheap, given the upside. 1 home run on the board already this season. Creator runs 42% better than average. Don't sweat Manny. He'll be fine as things come together. 44 for Jackson Merrill's not a bad price. He's made some good contact to start his year. He's got 2 home runs and a stolen base on the board. We want to see that continue. That price goes up if that pace continues over the next couple of weeks. Tatis is a superstar, 5,300. Not a bad price to find him. Not a good start. We know what the deal is with Fernando Tatis. And then Ramon Laureano's just been mashing, continuing what he was doing all last season. He's got a pair of home runs on the board already, 115 WRC plus, 372 xWOBA under his 335 in the tiny sample. Last year, Laureano hit 24 home runs. Had a 362 xWOBA, 364 actual. Creator runs 38% better than average. He was very good last year. See whether he keeps it up. But again, all those guys going up against Paul Skeens. Not desirable. On the other side, I think the Pirates are your more likely offense here. But again, Pivetta is a good run limiter. When he's going right, this is a good pitcher. And it's an improved lineup, but it's still not one of your premium lineups. Our guy, O'Neal Cruz, though, 4 home runs already. Love it. 169 WRC plus, a 436 xWOBA. Stole a base. After that rough start in the outfield, he really pulled it together. I was worried that was going to tank his breakout all season long. This is one of our guys, gang. Definitely want to jump on board. 11.30 to lead the team in the home run model. Just a little bit ahead of Brandon Lau. Lau, 11.09, number 2 on the board. 3 home runs already for him in a good start. 177 WRC plus, a guy who can just mash. And not a bad price at 46 at second base, especially when you can get to some cheaper bats down lineup from this team. Like Spencer Harwitz is interesting. Obviously, Connor Griffin, their superstar rookie at 3,500 at shortstop, is very interesting. I don't love the 8 spot for him, but really interesting. The top prospect in all of baseball. So you've got some ways to average these prices down. Brian Reynolds should still be a part of the plan. Couple good batted ball events so far. Pair of home runs on the board in an otherwise meh kind of a start, but a 347 xWOBA reflects that a little bit. Last season was mostly lost. 16 home runs. Year before, 24 homers, 10 steals, right on pace, 118 WRC plus, 24 homers, 12 steals, 110 WRC plus the year before that. This is a very good switch hitter. So 4,300, not a bad price to find Brian Reynolds. You do that. You do, let's see if we can get away with it this way. It'll be high, but 4,200 apiece for the 5-man with O'Neal Cruz, Brandon Lau, Brian Reynolds, Spencer Harwitz, and Connor Griffin. Not a bad way to do it. You could get cheaper on Nick Gonzalez. I don't love that approach. I think I would lean toward Nick Gonzalez if I was doing that. Just a more complete year last year, 408 plate appearances, 262, 299 is not good, 362 is not good, just an 82 WRC plus, but it was better than the 72 plate appearances we got out of Nick York. Cheaper bat versus maybe a potentially more effective option. Had some barrels in there, but not many of them. Spencer Harwitz is the guy that you want down there. Harwitz actually has good plate appearances, very discerning hitter. should push down a low strikeout rate while drawing walks, should make good contact throughout the season, 8% barrel rates over the last couple of years. Not a guy who crushes, but an effective bat putting the ball in play. Again, Griffin at 35, potential superstar. We'll see where he goes. 16 plate appearances so far, haven't been great. Henry Davis, once upon a time, little prospect pedigree, but hasn't really delivered all that much. 27 plate appearances this year have been pretty weak. 7 home runs in 283 last year, 122 pretty bad ones the year before that, but still getting some plate appearances. I would say Paul Skeens, Nick Pivetta, Pirates bats, Padres bats. The Padres, undeniably the more talented bunch, but they're facing the more talented pitcher between two good pitchers. Things are going well out there, gang. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, rotoscouts.com. Check it out. How many people out there? Sound off if you're not currently subscribed over at Rotoscouts for under $1 a day to access projections. Just trying to get a feel for who's out there today. Maybe I throw a little trivia question or something and give somebody a free week if we've got a crowd that's not already subscribed. Maybe. We'll see. Brewers, low total. Red Sox, low total. It's Jacob Miz. It's Garrett Crochet. 2 top-end young starters. I think we've got a little bit more of Garrett Crochet than Jacob Misiorowski. We've seen Crochet for a minute longer. 32 really good starts back in 2024. Another 32 really good starts last season, 205 innings. I've talked about the uptick in innings on that bionic elbow of his. Really concerned in the long term. No concerns whatsoever in the short term. Last season, Miz, 14 starts, 66 innings, a 31.9% strikeout rate, but struggled with the walk, 11.4% walk. Still did have a 20.5 K-minus BB because of that elite strikeout rate. But if you can push that walk rate down, and so far this year he is not, but he has pushed the strikeouts up. This is him. That would be him really, really unlocking his potential. 4.36 ERA, but a 3.66 xFIP, 3.56 Sierra last season. Good start to his year this year. Had a killer first day. 11 strikeouts in 5 innings, faced 20 White Sox, struck out 11. Second start, not quite as good. 7 strikeouts, faced 25 Reyes, struck out 7, gave up 2 earned runs on 4 hits. Good start by any measure, but not quite as elite as the first one. Probably more in line for that kind of a day than the absolute buzzsaw, but the Red Sox have not been hitting to start the season. 3.88 implied total for them. Crochet's your guy, though. 10,000 is well worth paying going up against these Brewers. I know the Brewers are good. I know they're good run creators. They're great at getting on base. Look at this collective on base so far. Even with those low marks, there's a 217 in there. There's a 321, a 267 in there. That's still a 372 average for the 9-man lineup in terms of just raw on-base percentage. That's crazy good. This team gets on base. They make things happen. They steal bases. They just manufacture runs. So no pitcher's truly safe against them, but Garrett Crochet is absolutely fantastic up there. So fire away with him. 87, nice little discount on Miz, and a not bad spot for him either. If you're going to the Brewers, Lockridge in the leadoff role at 24. Good start this year. 3 stolen bases, getting on, kind of fitting into the team theme. Last year, stole 10 bags in an otherwise empty season, 148 plate appearances, a 63 WRC+. William Contreras, again, William against Wilson today. William, 4,700 at catcher, probably the more desirable of the Contreras brothers. I gave them each the home run pick from their respective teams today because I thought that would be fun. Wilson, on the other side, has the slightly better home run mark. Both players off to reasonably okay starts in terms of their power, their contact being about where we would expect. Either guy, either Contreras from either side is an option within the stack, not guys you're particularly hunting for in these matchups as like one-off options or anything like that. Luis Rengifo at 3,000, mix and match piece, and that's about it. Do not love him at third base. I need that flexibility in mostly second base if I'm playing Luis Rengifo, but he is in the heart of this lineup, hitting third today. Gary Sanchez, 3,200. Gary's already got 3 home runs in 16 plate appearances. We'll always play Gary against the lefty. It's just this is a pretty exceptional lefty. So we don't really want to tangle with Crochet, but I do love Gary. He's never been bad. All the rumors of Gary Sanchez not being a good bat are just misguided. He has always made absolutely fantastic contact. It's just the infrequency of that contact that's always been his issue. But when he connects, boy, does he connect. Love Gary, but we're probably not going to Brewers. As a one-off, 3,200, you probably want whoever that was, the $2,000 one-off catcher instead. Joey Ortiz at 29, back to making very good contact in this small sample. If he can keep that up and look anything like this guy from 2 years ago, that's a really interesting option. So the last 2 seasons, he's been mostly dead up there. We'll see what it amounts to. 269, 321, 269 so far. But the contact is what I'm interested in here for a fairly cheap bet. It's just a terrible matchup. Luis Matos, interesting righty to pick up and put into this lineup, 2,800, 5 okay plate appearances so far. There is talent there. Fairly high-end prospect a couple years ago with the Giants organization. Sal Frelick, Blake Perkins, David Hamilton. Frelick's your prime option down there, 4,200. Slow start for him, but we know he hits for average. He steals bases. He gets on. He's one of the big cogs in the run-scoring machine here. Blake Perkins and David Hamilton, more mix and matchy. Hamilton got off to a decent start, 263, 500, 263. He's been on base a ton. He's stolen 4 bases. Maybe he puts together a decent season. Hasn't really made great contact. Been a low strikeout, very, very heavy walk. That's not going to stay those levels, obviously. So we probably see this crater as we gain another 2 weeks, but a mix and match piece in a better spot. Roman Anthony is expensive. 256, 326, 410 start to his season. He's got a home run on the board, a 102 WRC plus, hitting in the leadoff role so far. They're talking about that on Central earlier. D-Row is questioning the utility of having Roman Anthony in the leadoff role, and I would answer D-Row by saying that 303 plate appearances last year, the kid got on at a 396 clip, and he only hit 8 home runs despite making phenomenal contact. 376 WOBA, 372 xWOBA. So given his ability to get to first base and a team behind him where the other 8 guys in this lineup had an average 303 on base last season, I would say he is their one and only option in the leadoff role. D-Row is calling for Mr. 297 on base last year. That's IKF. Sedan Rafaela was a 295 on base. I knew it was around there somewhere. D-Row wanted Sedan Rafaela in the leadoff role. I would say no. Sedan Rafaela, very good for counting stats. Bad run creator, bad at getting on base. Roman Anthony is your leadoff man for this team. I know he's got power. I know it's not necessarily where you want him. He probably ends up a 2-hitter for most of his career. But right now, you want those on-base skills up there. Jarren Duran kind of miscast in the 2 spot, 4,900, more of a line drive type of a hitter. 35 plate appearances from him. I would probably consider sliding probably Wilson if it's this configuration of the lineup, but I was going to even say maybe Willier, maybe Trevor Story into that 2 spot for now if you're not going to use Roman Anthony there. It's just a weirdly configured lineup. Wilson, entirely playable, as mentioned when we were talking about his brother. 4,800 for Willier. Not a bad price for a guy with a 19.4% barrel, 58% hard hit in his 41 plate appearances, 3 home runs on the board already. Big WBC. Monster year last year from the left side. Platoon specialist on the strong side. You're not going to see him all that often against lefties. You've got an elite righty or potentially elite righty on the mound, but Miz has given up some premium contact. Did so last year as well. Not bad last year, just a 293% home run, but not entirely elite in terms of suppressing contact, either on a fly ball trajectory. Willier's a guy who could get to him. It's probably going to be a low-scoring game, maybe a one big batted ball event type of a day, but Willier's a good candidate to do that. 7.94 does lead the Red Sox in the home run model. Trevor Story, big year last year. Slow start this year over 47 plate appearances that do not matter. If you're going Red Sox, you definitely want Story, 3,900. He's hit the ball fairly squarely a couple of times already this year. We got to give him a little bit of time to let that sample develop. Marcelo Mayer, Connor Wong, IKF. The first 2 names there are mix and match type pieces. IKF, not much of a bat. 2,100, very cheap. Has never been a very good hitter, despite rumors to the contrary. 260, low on base, couple steals, no power. IKF is not an ideal DFS option. Garrett Crochet, Jacob Misiorowski. Red Sox Brewers, but it's probably closer than the run line might indicate. I don't really want either offense against the pitchers, but probably a little bit more probability of the Red Sox getting to the less experienced, more erratic Miz. Game number 5, the last of the DK only games. Holy hell. What's the over-under on ejections after the Contreras drama yesterday? I tell you what, if they hit him, that would be something. But yeah, I think we could see it. I think we could see a little bit of action in that one. It should be fun. Any concerns about Crochet's ceiling? Total outs being bet down to 18. It appears Boston's being cautious with him to start. Went 6 in the first one, went 5 in the second one. I wouldn't say they're necessarily being cautious with him. Struck out 8 and walked 2. I don't have the pitch count in front of me in that first one, but pitched really well in the first one. The second one, he only went 5, but he gave up 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 runs total, 7 strikeouts, gave up a home run. So the pitch count probably got up on him in that one. That was against the Astros, and just not a totally sharp day. I wouldn't be concerned about it. I have him at 6. I think 6 is probably a reasonable expectation. I don't think we're getting a complete game out of him. But I think 6, I don't think there's going to be a hamstring on the 6 innings unless he pitches poorly, in which case you're already screwed. Miz should crush this lineup. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all if Miz had a great day. SMP saying Crochet deliberately dropped the arm angle last year, but has fallen again this year and sort of considerably. That and the stuff plus grades being down across the board are a small sample red flags. I haven't really looked at the stuff plus marks. Let's rewind. These are still pulling last year, aren't they? Yeah, they are. Stuff plus. I know you guys can't see this, but yeah, down pretty hard over the first 2 starts. 117 overall down to 109. Still dramatically above average, and above average across his full arsenal. The slider actually went up from 142 to 154, but were reduced on the fastball, the cutter, sinker, the change. Change came down significantly from an average 100 to 83. That might be part of your problem. I can pull up StatCast real quick too. That's funny. He's thrown. So this is where it gets sticky, right? Just the stuff plus, as I've mentioned before, does work in small samples because it measures like literally the physics of the pitch. So it only needs one event, really. But that said, with that dip from a league average 100 on the change down to, what did I say, 80 something, that's amounting to 10 changeups, over which he has a 100% whiff rate. So what are we quibbling about? One strikeout on the pitch, 50% put away. So yeah, even though it hasn't measured out as well, he's been super effective with the 10 that he's thrown entirely to right-handed hitters. What's gotten hit? Looks like the cutter's gotten hit, and then a few sweepers got away from him. He's thrown 25 sweepers, and they've been mashed a little bit. I want to let it grow, but good note. Definitely something we'll watch. Yeah, SMP, I agree. Doesn't mean he doesn't do well today, and might just be cold weather, early season. Stuff might not be as sharp. You need to tool up a little bit over the first 2 weeks of the year. So I think he gets locked in and we see those things click back into place, but absolutely good note. Call those things out, guys, as you see them, because there's only so much I can spot in one, every day for all this stuff. So definitely appreciate that. Let's keep rolling though. As mentioned, Liberatore, 6,300. I think that's an interesting price. I'll take a lefty against this Nationals lineup. I do not fear this Nationals lineup. And if I can knock their 2 best hitters, James Wood and CJ Abrams, down a bit by having a lefty here, Dylan Lyle as well, I'll do it. I don't mind this spot at all. Curtis Mead, Brady House, no fear. Joey Weimer, I know the start was great, but whatever. Liberatore's one hiccup is that he's a super low strikeout. You're probably only getting 2 to 4 strikeouts out of this one, even if he gives you 6 plus. But what I'm hunting for is just the clean sheet. 6 innings. Give me 6 innings, limit them to 2 runs or fewer. Come away with a couple few strikeouts, and I might be okay. Decent chance at a win bonus, or at least a even up chance at a win bonus. It's the better of the 2 pitching options from this game, but Cavalli on the other side for only 5,700 is also at least interesting. As mentioned, this Cards lineup is just a collection of growing young hitters and a couple guys who are, about to be, and a couple guys who probably never will be types. Fortunately, one of our guys is hopefully about to be in that group. Jordan Walker still only 2,900 despite the red hot start. 3 home runs on the board, 314, 385, 629, 183 WRC plus. Who told you to watch out for Jordan Walker this year? JJ Weatherholt in the top spot at 3,700. Makes a match quality option. 44 pretty good plate appearances to get started. He's a primo prospect for this team. That's not a bad price, and you fill second base pretty easily against a gettable starter. Cavalli, I mentioned that he could be an interesting option, but kind of skipped over him. Second start, he went 6, gave up just 1 earned on 5 hits to Philly, struck out 3, walked 2. If you get that kind of start today at 5,700, I think you're entirely happy with it. Might find a few more strikeouts against this young Cards team than he did against the Phillies. Ivan Herrera, 3,400. That's a great price on a good bat. Catcher only on DraftKings. Looks like FanDuel knocked him back to catcher only. Did have outfield eligibility for a while there on FanDuel. 19 home runs last year. Very solid slash line, 137 WRC plus to lead this team offensively last season. Alec Burleson, by far their most expensive player at 4,400. Mix and match, just another outfielder, first base on first base this year. As first base, he's even lower end. I was going to say just another outfielder type, low end, below average first base option. The price is okay, but it's not special. 4,400 is more than I'd like to pay for Alec Burleson. Not a great start, but he's gotten on base a few times at least. Last season in 546 plate appearances, he had 18 home runs. Nobody on this team hit 20. Don't like the upside. I do like Jordan Walker to go over 20 home runs this year. Love the start. Barreling the hell out of the ball, 75% hard hit rate. A lot of strikeouts and a handful of walks. If the walks stay up going forward, and if he manages to shave even these 3 points off strikeout rate, that's an improvement. Gets him back toward where he was 2 years ago with the strikeouts. If he could ever get back to this level, that's him unlocking his actual superstar pedigree. Nolan Gorman, a lot of power upside, totally inconsistent hitter, tons of strikeouts over the last few years, 2 home runs on the board, but an otherwise just maddeningly inconsistent start once again for Gorman. Mason Wynn's an overrated player at short, off to a bad start in 35 plate appearances, wasn't particularly good last year. Segisi's very cheap at 2,100, but doesn't do much at the plate. Pedro Pajes, mix and match quality, cheapo catcher, but you prefer the other catcher basically every time out of this lineup. And then Victor Scott, if he happens to get on base, might be running 281 on base, 2 stolen bases. Sounds exactly like Victor Scott so far. On the Nats side, again, not a ton to work with in this lineup. James Woods, CJ Abrams. Give me... There it is. So, let's see. So Wood last year actually was fairly effective reverse splits. 126 WRC plus, 278, 330, 493 against same-handed pitching. Did hit for some power. 12 of his home runs. 19 home runs in more plate appearances versus right-handed pitching, but lower end slash line. But lower average, better on base. Lower slug, higher ISO, similar WRC plus. So maybe we're not entirely knocking James Wood. 4,900, not a bad price for all that power. Does come in at a 9.59 to lead the team in the home run model today, so he's getting his credit for his lefty-lefty power. But beyond that, Curtis Mead has never quite found it at the major league level, despite having some prospect pedigree. He's on like his 9th team. Brady House, 3,500, cheap, off to a decent start in 40 plate appearances, pair of home runs, a 175 WRC plus so far. Last season, House made 274 plate appearances, hit 4 home runs, stole 5 bases, had a 56 WRC plus. Truth is probably somewhere in between. Dalen Lyle had a good year last year, 3,900. Off to an okay start in terms of the slash line. Not great, but okay. 92 WRC plus isn't desirable, though. Dramatically below average ex-WOBA, under a below average WOBA so far in a small sample. Weimer at 34. A 476, 577, 857 start, and on his way down. He's not going to maintain those numbers. There is an okay bat there, but he's more mix and match, just another outfielder type talent than he is a superstar like those numbers might look like. CJ Abrams is their second best player, but drops in the lineup against the lefty, 4,500 on the board for him. He's got 4 home runs and a pair of stolen bases in just 41 plate appearances. Very good start for CJ. In 2025 against left-handed pitching, CJ slash 231, 280, 339 with a 108 ISO and a 73 WRC plus. That's against a 123 WRC plus against righties when he slashed 269, 332, 477. Just a dramatically different hitter against same-handed pitching. So discount on CJ as far as the expectations, a little bit of a discount on the price, drop in the batting order, not great. Jacob Young, mix and match outfielder with a little bit of speed, doesn't get on base, doesn't do enough to really pay off his speed. Nasim Nunez does do enough to pay off his, or doesn't really do enough, but does pay off the speed. 6 stolen bases despite only a 294 on base. Kid's going to be running, and he should get on base more consistently once the tools develop, once he's got his feet under him as a regular here in the show. Switch hitter, discerning bat, should be fairly low strikeout, decent walk rate. And then Keibert Ruiz always good for bat on ball, but never really delivers anything from it. Cheap Liberator, cheaper Cavalli, Cards, Nats. All right, 5:14, 7 games to go. Got to punch us out around 6, so we've got to keep the pace up. Bunch of people here hanging out. Appreciate you all. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out rotoscouts.com. Nobody chimed in as far as not being a subscriber yet, so I guess nobody wants to pick up a free week. Nobody wants to answer a trivia question for a free week. That's fine. No worries. It's under $1 a day. It's pretty cheap to start. Gets you access to everything baseball, plus NBA and NHL main slate projections through the next week while those seasons still last, and through the playoffs. I do project the NHL and NBA playoffs for DFS. They're just a lot more sane. The Athletics, the Yankees. Yanks are on a much bigger total than their opponents because Aaron Savali's on the mound for the Athletics. I don't think we consider him outside of the idea that, every now and again the Yanks completely fail against low-end pitching, but we're not projecting that. We're not gambling on that. Looks like a killer spot for the Yankees. You can see, the top 6 hitters in the lineup are all over the magic number for home run power, including Aaron Judge, who is doubling the magic number today. We know what that means. So we can fire away with upside from the Yankees with confidence. I believe they're the second, maybe third-ranked team in the stack rankings. On the other side, the Athletics going up against Cam Schlittler, not a great spot for them. Up and down kind of starts throughout the lineup. Shea Langoliers carrying the team right now with 5 home runs on the board. Everybody else kind of scuffling out of the gate. Doesn't really mean anything. We like this team a lot in the long run. We like this team in Yankee Stadium too. But a cold night, a good pitcher, a lot working against the Athletics upside. And Vegas was reflecting that with that 3-2-1 implied total. Schlittler, 8,500, pretty good price. 99 on the FanDuel slate. Yeah, by the way, this is our first game on FanDuel as well. 99 on FanDuel is a little bit pricey with all the aces on this board, so I greatly prefer Schlittler on the DraftKings slate in terms of where that price actually makes sense. First 2 starts have been really good, though. 6 1/3, 7 strikeouts, 2 hits, no runs. 5 1/3, 8 strikeouts in his first start against San Francisco. 1 hit, no runs. So dude's given up 3 hits, no runs in his first 11 2/3, struck out 15 over that. I think we come back to earth a little bit as the season goes on, but he's got undeniable ability to miss bats, rack up some strikeouts. Last season in his 14 starts, a little bit of premium contact there in Yankee Stadium. Maybe that bites him in the longer term, a larger sample. A little bit of walk that could come back to bite him. So far, has not walked anybody. Something to watch there. If he cuts that walk rate, it's obviously not going to stay at 0 against a 40% strikeout rate all year. But if he can wrangle a pretty decent walk rate against his ability to strike hitters out 28 to 32% of the time for the season, that's going to be a really, really good pitcher. I don't love his chances to actually do that, but I do think he's a very effective 3-4 type starter with strikeout upside on any given slate. If you're going to A's bats, they bring a lot of lefty power to Yankee Stadium. Something to be concerned about if you're Cam Schlittler, especially with the fly balls and the premium contact that might get allowed. Kurtz off to a weak start, especially compared to his just ridiculous rampaging through the league when he first came up as a rookie last year. 5,200 on DraftKings, 36 on FanDuel. Totally works. 8.38 does lead the team in the home run model, but notably nobody above 10 in the home run model for these hard inning A's. That's something to call out there. Langoliers, as mentioned, 5 home runs, a ridiculous 464x WOBA, 464 WOBA over a 373x, 201 WRC plus to start. He's not going to maintain those numbers, but the power is incredibly real, and he actually had a good slash line last year. Hit for average, got on base, did everything last year. Soderstrom, he was on Central talking about his time in New York. Maybe he should have been focusing on his plans for hitting tonight. 212, 316, 333, 88 WRC plus to start. Hit 25 homers last year in a breakout season. This is a good left-handed bat. Just needs to get things going. 44, 3,000, inoffensively priced. Brent Rooker, we love around here. Shaky start for Brent. Pair of home runs on the board. Strikeouts have bounced way, way up in the teeny tiny unfair sample. He's going to be fine. He's too smart of a hitter. He's made too many improvements to fall backward now. So not worried about Rooker. 4,900. I'll take the discount if I'm going to the A's. Jacob Wilson, fantastic hit tool for 38 for 26. Rooker on FanDuel is only 29, by the way. Wilson not flashing the hit tool just yet, but going to be a low strikeout, low walk rate, put the ball in play, succeed via BABIP type of a hitter. Hitting fifth, not a bad way to reset the lineup here for Lawrence Butler. Max A. Muncy, who's off to an okay start. Oh, I forgot to change him on the stats board. Ignore that I don't have Max Muncy's stats up. He has changed on the last year's stats. 9 home runs and 220 plate appearances. He's okay. He's off to a good start. I forget what the numbers are. Lawrence Butler before him, 44% hard hit rate, an exact match for last year's, but the barrels have slipped a little in this tiny, tiny sample. 1 home run on the board. He's a better player than we've seen him be over the last 18 months or so. Last season, 21 homers, 22 stolen bases. Finished at 234, 306, 404, and just a 96 WRC plus. The counting stats were fine, but the overall is better. I expect a bigger season out of Lawrence Butler this year. Jeff McNeil, slap hitter, bottom lineup, mix and match type talent. Denzel Clark, phenomenal defense. Going to the Yanks, Trent Grisham at 38 is cheap. 31 is also fairly inexpensive. Not a great start over 38 plate appearances, but had just a career year last year. Power is definitely real. Should hit for power this season. I expect everything else kind of slides down around the edges, but a 368 on base at least to get started. If you're doing that ahead of Aaron Judge, you're going to have value for DFS just through pure correlation. Judge 6,300, 4,400, 3 home runs on the board already. 144 WRC plus. It's Aaron Judge. Don't overthink it against Aaron Savali. Judge might hit 4 home runs tonight. Probably not gonna. 20 plus in the home run model though. I like his chances to get 1. 43 for Cody, 33. Cheap. Outfield and first base on FanDuel. Love the positional eligibility. Good start for him, right along the lines of expectations for Cody Bellinger numbers. Aggressively good on base so far at 425. That'll come down. But creating runs, doing his thing. Last season, 334 on base. Created runs 25% better than average. Just a good player. Ben Rice, phenomenal start. He was also featured on Central this morning. They were talking about just the growth at the plate and his approach at the plate. And really just came up kind of locked in. 26 homers last year and 530 plate appearances. By the way, he made 500 for Cliff Floyd. He made 500 plate appearances already last year. You're talking about him getting there this year? I don't know. 178 plate appearances the year before and a cup of coffee, hit 7 home runs. Didn't have the slash line that year, but last season, 394 ex-Wobo under a 358 actual. The 358 actual for a first full year is phenomenal. It's star caliber. 394 expected underneath it is superstar caliber. I don't know that he gets to that full level maybe ever, but this is a very, very good power bat from the left side, and he's a good hitter. He's got a good eye, draws walks, 18.9% strikeout, 9.4% walk rate last year. Speaking of home runs, Giancarlo Stanton, 394, 429, 545. I was there on Saturday. I saw it with my own eyeballs, real time, live on the field. Giancarlo Stanton steals second base. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that they sent him. I couldn't believe that he was successful. Giancarlo Stanton, a stolen base on the board. I don't want him to ever try and do that again. He's just too fragile. Monster power. That's what we're looking for from Stanton. But he's hitting for average. He's driving the ball very effectively. And when he's not hitting it in the air, he's driving it for base hits right now. Great start for Stanton. Just knock on wood, he stays healthy. This is still MVP caliber talent if he's on the field. Jazz Chisholm off to a really shaky start. Talked about it at the beginning of last year and kind of slipped my mind at the beginning of this year. Jazz does not play well when it's cold. It's just a thing for him. He's on the record saying that he doesn't like playing in the cold. So not a great spot for Jazzy maybe, but tons of talent. He had a similarly bad start to last year, if I remember correctly, in the cold. Ahmed Rosario, mix and match piece. Austin Wells, a lot of catcher power, but very inconsistent bat. And then Jose Caballero in the 9 spot. Interesting guy to wrap around. He does have the ability to get on base, steals bases. Slow start for him this season, but stole a ton of bases in limited plate appearances last year. I like that wraparound. If you're going to skip Trent Grisham, get a little cheaper with Caballero, fill a middle infield spot, use him as the leadoff man ahead of Judge, Belly, Ben Rice, etc. on the 2nd through 5th times through the lineup. Should turn the lineup over a number of times tonight. Yankees bats way up top, followed by Schlittler, followed by the A's bats, and I wouldn't play Aaron Savali. Dodgers at a 4-3-6. I believe we have this lineup in. I think we got like all of them. Still 5 lineups to go. Astros, Braves, Angels, Phillies, and Giants still unconfirmed. The hell is the Dodgers? There it is. This one we do have, though. So again, World Series rematch didn't exactly go the way that the Blue Jays might have wanted last night. Dodgers got out to an early lead and just mashed their way through that game. We loved that spot yesterday. Today, 4.36 implied total against a better starter. Probably not the same. Gausman, 52.5% strikeout against a 0% walk. That's a phenomenal 52.5 strikeout minus walk rate if you can't do the arithmetic in your head. Obviously, those numbers are coming down, but he's looked great so far in terms of the Ks. The runs been terrific. 2 very, very good starts. It's getting up a few barrels along the way here. That could absolutely chew him up against a team like this, though. You give that kind of contact to Ohtani, Tucker, et cetera, Freddie, it's going to be problematic. So I like Gausman to come back to earth a little bit here. 6 innings in each of the first 2 starts, as mentioned. 2 hits in one, no runs. 1 hit in the other. It was a solo home run for their only run, their only hit. Struck out 11 in that game, 10 in the 2-hit game. That was against the Rockies and the Athletics, though. Dodgers are a slightly different animal. I would play Gausman if I'm building 150. Either site, 95, 91. I think you want a few shares, but you can see he's not projected nearly where he was the other day. Mid-board type projection, mid-board type spot. In 150, you play him a few times. If you're building 5 lineups today, I don't see a real reason to go play Kevin Gausman. It's probably not for the best. Yoshi Yamamoto on the other side, only really hampered by a relatively low strikeout Blue Jays team with plenty of talent in it. 373 implied total does speak to the quality, though. 17 projected on DraftKings, 30, above 30 on FanDuel. Not inappropriately priced. Very good starter. This fucking mouse. First 2 for Yamamoto, 6 innings in each one. The second start was lower end. He struck out 6, gave up 2 earned on 5 hits in the first one. Only 2 strikeouts, 2 runs on 4 hits in the second one. So a little bit of a dip in strikeouts. Gave up a home run ball in each of them. One was to Cleveland. That was the lower end game. The better game was actually against the better team, against Arizona. But we know what the talent level looks like with Yamamoto. 173 2/3 last year, 29.4% strikeout. A few too many walks, but still a 20.76 K minus BB. Pitched to a 2.49 ERA, half a run higher on the XFIP, basically a full run higher on the Sierra, but a sub-1 whip. Dude is really, really good. If you're going to the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani at the top. I think you guys have probably heard of him. 14.97 in the home run model. Not doubling the magic number today, but well over it. 3 home runs on the board already. Looking pretty phenomenal in every aspect of baseball. Kyle Tucker, best free agent pickup of the season, went to the best team, unfortunately. 6,000, 4,300, 278, 372, 389 to start. Hitting between Ohtani and Will Smith in this configuration of the lineup with support from Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez further down the lineup. No Mookie Betts while he's on the IL, but they're still absolutely loaded with superstars. Great spot for Tucker to be hitting an ideal 2-bat in this lineup. Love that option, but paying 12.4 for 2 hitters is very expensive. 44 and 4,300 on the FanDuel slate. Difficult to reach. 42.35 for Will Smith. Where you need to play catchers, that's a bargain. It's silly. These prices, the levels of price, the relative prices should be reversed. Will Smith should be more relatively expensive on DraftKings than he is on FanDuel, but he's not. You play him on either site. You can play him in conjunction with Freddie on the FanDuel slate. You can play him in lineups where you're skipping Freddie, use him in the catcher first base spot. Probably the best way to do it, because you do have other bats that you want to get to here. So I'd probably go one or the other between the 2 guys that slot in at first base and leave my util spot open. But that's also probably the most common approach. So maybe you do create differentiation in your Dodger stacks if you put them both in on FanDuel. Teoscar blasted one last night, 2nd home run of the year, 36 plate appearances. He looked like he's renewed and refreshed at the plate after a slight dip overall last season. The power was still intact, though. 11.5% barrel, 46% hard hit last year. Andy Pajas, another player off to a phenomenal start. 40 absolutely outstanding plate appearances. Last year, 27 home runs, 14 stolen bases in an underappreciated season, 113 WRC+. Did have a concerning 316 xWOBA under the 332 actual. That's something to watch. That's slightly below average in the expected. He overperformed it last season, but there's real talent here. So I like Pajas, and it's just a lineup that supports the upside. Max Muncy hitting 7th against any righty. I'll take Max Muncy's upside for 3,900, 2,800 on FanDuel. Good start for Max, doing Max Muncy things. Pair of home runs on the board, good slash line, creating runs, 154 WRC+ in the tiny sample. Miguel Rojas, mix and match kind of a talent. Alex Freeland, maybe a little interesting for the cheap price. 2nd, 3rd base eligible on DraftKings, 2,400, 2nd, 3rd on FanDuel. Home run on the board and 27 plate appearances, some good prospect pedigree, but a lot of growth to do. A couple good batted ball events, though. On the Blue Jays side, George Springer at 54.36 is not off to the start that resembles last year's resurgence. We will have to monitor that in the long term. 54 starting to feel expensive. 36 starting to feel expensive. We'll probably see a quick dip in price if this continues. 72 WRC plus over a meaningless 46 plate appearances. Dalton Varsho, plenty of pop in the bat. No home runs on the board so far this year. 36 plate appearances. The slash line looks a lot like we would expect. Last season finished at 238, 284, 548. We need him to slug his way to success. If he's not doing that, he is not worth much except for defense, and that doesn't count for DFS. 59 on Vladdy, 36 on Vladdy. Not a bad price. Home run on the board. We want the power to come back in a big way. Everything else was pretty intact last season in a 292, 381, 467 year. Only 23 home runs, just a 175 ISO despite major premium contact. You can see a little bit of that difference here. 366, still a fantastic WOBA, but a 384 says there was more to give. Still a 137 WRC plus, though. As with Sanchez, we've talked about a lot already this season. We love that bat around here. Kid just makes killer contact from the left side. Only 3,300 hitting cleanup for this team, too. 11% barrels, 50% hard hits. Those are just locked in right with who Jesus Sanchez is. Not who he might be, not who he could be, not who he's got the potential to be. That is who Jesus Sanchez is and has been over multiple seasons. That's 4 years in a row. I know the production hasn't been great. Last year, 497 plate appearances, 14 homers, 13 stolen bases in a lost season. 2 years ago, 18 homers, 16 stolen bases. Year before that, 14 homers and 3 stolen bases. Has never made 600 plate appearances, got out to 537 in that 2024 season. There is, I don't want to use the word star because that creates unfair expectations, but there is a reasonably good, better than he's been power hitter there from the left side lurking in this lineup. I love him at that price. And honestly, I don't mind taking the shot if I'm going to the Blue Jays already. He would be a part of my plans for the price discount. Last season, Yamamoto wasn't bad for power, though. 7.7 degree average launch, 5.7% barrel rate, just a 2.05% home run rate that feels pretty real. So I don't know that I want to tangle with him just in general going to the Blue Jays. And I don't know that it's the best spot to really try and home run hunt for cheap options. So I wouldn't like one off that spot. But if I am going here, the ability to go 1-2 on my stars, and let's say I just want a 3-man it. It's 48.67. It helps with the price on Springer and Vladdy. We probably actually do need more power of the average down to really bring that down effectively, though. Like you build Ernie in there at second base and 5-man it with Ernie and Lukes who can get on base. Ernie succeeds via the hit tool. Now we brought it down to 41.60, and we're getting Sanchez, we're getting Vladdy, we're getting George Springer. I skipped over Dalton Varsho, but you could obviously have included him in that. I also skipped over Kaz Okamoto just because he's 4,400 and it wasn't going to help that exercise. That is one of the more appealing bats in this lineup, though. Kid's been good to start, had a very good career in NPB. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, he's actually a little older than Murakami. I think he's about 30. So a little bit longer in the tooth, but has succeeded right out of the gate and should continue hitting. Good veteran bat to add to this team. Pair of home runs, 263, 349, 421 in a small sample, 125 WRC plus after a lot of success over 8 or 9 NPB seasons. Clement just succeeds via the hit tool. Move him around the infield or move him around the field for 27 on FanDuel, 3,200 at second base on DraftKings. That's the spot you would want him in anyway, so don't sweat the lack of flexibility. Lukes, as mentioned, can get on base, has not done so in 17 plate appearances so far this year. Andres Jimenez and Brendan Valenzuela mix and match pieces from the bottom. Valenzuela gives you another dead min price catcher, but hitting ninth, probably not that appealing. Should we look at Brandon Valenzuela or Fernando Valenzuela? Fernando probably going to finish with the better career. Brandon is a 25-year-old. Last season in mostly 374 AA plate appearances for San Diego's affiliate and then 105 AAA appearances for Toronto's affiliate. Finished the year with 15 home runs, 6 stolen bases, a 224, 309, 383 slash line, 99 WRC plus, 160 ISO. In the minors, mostly in AA. So probably not the guy to throw at Yoshi Yamamoto here. Dodgers bats. Yamamoto. Gaussman. Blue Jays bats. I was going to say I do think it's four cornersy, but probably not. I think the Blue Jays offense may be a little bit light. But 3 very good pieces in this game. Even Gaussman against the Dodgers is at least playable. Tigers, Skubal, Taj Bradley. Skubal, obviously the spot of the day in terms of your starters. We were dealing with below freezing temperatures in Minneapolis last night. I don't think much has changed. It is flagged. It's gone up a little bit. 44 degrees at Target Field tonight. Wind blowing in. All of that should help the pitchers. I think we know and love Skubal already. Top projected pitcher on both sites. 10-5, 11-2. If you can get there, do so. Strikeouts in 2 starts are down a little bit, but we're not concerned. Hasn't given up much in terms of runs. Last year, 32.2% strikeout against a 4.4% walk, 2.21 ERA against a 2.66 FIP. He is every bit the best pitcher in baseball. Taj, on the other side of this one, as mentioned, 4 1/3 in the first start. That was against the Orioles. He struck out 9 in that game. He walked 3, one earned run on 3 hits. Second start, clean sheet, 6 innings against the Royals. Pretty good. 5 hits, no runs. Only struck out 3, walked 1, but the Royals are a lower strikeout team overall. I'm kind of curious to see where it goes with Taj. The stuff looked pretty sharp last year. So far, that is this year's number, right? Yeah. So far, stuff plus number has ticked up a little bit for the full arsenal. Definitely at least intriguing for a talented kid who has never really been able to put together all the pieces. Last year, 142 2/3, pitched to a 5.05 ERA, but had a 4.37 xFIP under the surface. 21% strikeout, but way too many walks at 9.3% against a average type strikeout rate. That's not going to get it done. But the year before, in 25 starts, 138 innings, he struck out 26.6%. We can get anywhere near that level. Had a 3.62 xFIP. We can get anywhere near that. We've got a at least good starter on our hands, if not an ace. 7,300, probably worth finding out. There are Ks available in this Tigers lineup. It's a high danger lineup. 2 guys over the magic number, another couple guys right around it in this lineup. But there are Ks. If you're going to the Tigers at a 3.67 implied total, Colt Keith, Kevin McGonigal, not a bad way to get things started. McGonigal, this year's hot prospect for this team, started the team, broke camp with the team, off to a very good start over 44 plate appearances, got a 142 WRC plus in his first action in the show, striking out just 13.6% of the time so far. Keith's striking out a little bit more, but he's got a little bit more experience as well. Came up as a top prospect himself. Just starting to find it last year. We talked about a potential breakout for this season. Hasn't hit for power yet, but he's hit 180 WRC plus, a 430 WOBA under a 407 expected mark in 33 plate appearances. Gleyber Torres, I've been singing his praises since before the season started. Getting on base at a crazy clip, 413 on a 26.1% walk. That will come down, but that strikeout will also probably come down, even if it hovers around 19.6. That's a dip for him, but that's still a better than average strikeout rate. Needs to start putting bat on ball a little bit better, but 124 WRC plus says that he will. Says that he's been good anyway. Riley Green, 4,500, good price. 2,900, good price. Bad start to the season, but I'm not buying it. Over 43 plate appearances. Not for a guy who had 36 home runs and was very effective last year. 343 WOBA, 335X. Overperformed slightly, but a very good left-handed bat and a fair price. Dylan Dingler's got some pop. That's not a bad way to fill catcher at 3,700. Taj, a little bit of ability to hit home runs off him. Not bad. These are average-ish type home run marks last season. Year before, a little bit worse. 3.81 home run rate, 10.2% barrel, 41.7% hard hit, 91.2 all over our warning levels. So we improved that last season, but we got to maintain those gains. So far, players have hit the ball extremely hard against them, but have not found success for the home run ball despite the fly ball trajectory. Keep an eye on that. These Tigers know how to hit home runs. McKinstry, good mix and match piece across multiple positions for fair prices. Had a good year last year. Probably won't be at that level this year, but an effective enough bat, hitting ahead of Spencer Torkelson. Good combo down there if you want to put those 2 pieces together in conjunction with 3 of the top 4. I think that's a good way to build on DraftKings, but you also get Dylan Dingler in that mix as well. Meadows hasn't really put things together in the show. 30 okay plate appearances with a 105 WRC plus so far this year. Last year, mostly absent, 213 plate appearances, 4 homers, 4 steals. 298 the year before, 9 homers, 9 steals. He's consistent, matching his home run and stolen base totals. And then Javi Baez still on this team at 2,500. Byron Buxton, drawing a 10 plus in the home run model, despite facing Tarek Skubal, kind of interesting. But I don't think we're going to Buxton just for that, and there's nothing to support him in the rest of the lineup. I don't want Matt Wallner lefty here against the best lefty in baseball, even with the 8 plus in the home run model. Wallner's just a home run hitter, and we're going to see 3 strikeouts here before we see a home run. In between those two, Austin Martin is okay, 34-24. Not a great start this year. We've seen some flashes of talent. Last year in 181, he was all right. 282, 374, 365 slash line, and 113 WRC plus. Some growing to do. Luke Keisha was good last year. So far this year, not great, but it's 44 meaningless plate appearances. I do expect good things from Keisha. He's a low strikeout, medium walk rate guy as well. Maybe that challenges Skubal a little bit, but Skubal's not the type to really be cowed by that kind of a challenge. Ryan Jeffers, good bat on ball for a catcher, middle of the lineup, 3,000, but we don't want to draw against Tarek Skubal, especially not with a guy who last 2 seasons, decent for strikeouts, but still hovering around league average. 3 years ago, 27.8% strikeout rate. So far, handful of strikeouts for him this year. We'll see what the truth looks like. Victor Caratini, another eligible catcher, but again, we don't really want to go here. Caratini's always made good contact, solid 40+% hard hit rates pretty consistently. Fairly low strikeout, medium walk. You're just looking for that premium contact from a cheap catcher bat, but sub-3 implied total for the Twins. It's just, even from a contrarian sense, not a great idea. Josh Bell, we talked about maybe some emergent power coming back for him. A lot of strikeouts up this year so far, but typically a low strikeout guy. I don't think the past helps him against Tarek Skubal here. Royce Lewis, never come back to be the player that we saw a few seasons ago, injured and absent quite a bit. And then Brooks Lee, supposed to have a decent hit tool, hasn't really flashed it this year, has some growing to do for a cheap price down the bottom of the lineup. Again, don't draft Twins here. Skubal, Tigers, Taj, Twins. I blew it. Should have said Tarek, Tigers, Taj, Twins. Dumb. Mariners game. Mariners against the Rangers with a good pitching matchup here. Doug, what's going on, buddy? Appreciate you stopping by, man. I'm not sure if you're still out there to hear me say this, but thanks for popping in to say hi, even though you don't play MLB. Yeah, the NBA show, I talked about it day one, coming back, had some personal stuff that just kind of got in the way and soaked up just a ton of my time in the fall and winter, between just being kind of down for some things, and then dealing with Joker having to go to the vet on a weekly basis and being at my parents' house like 4 or 5 days of the week each week over from like November through January. Just kind of tanked the NBA show this year, unfortunately. We'll try and get it back for next year. Need those subscriptions to roll in though, so we can keep the lights on and everything around here. Keep paying these bills, Does help. Much as I love doing this, I don't love doing it for free. Mariners, Rangers. I'm just kidding. I love doing it for free for you guys. I would. If I was just completely don't have to worry about it, FU money kind of wealthy, I would absolutely show up and do this every day for free. But for right now, under $1 a day gets you access to projections content over at Rotoscouts, including NBA and NHL projections for every single main slate. All right, both these lineups are in. I think this is a pitching focused game. Nathan Eovaldi, good. George Kirby, good. 26.1% strikeout. Walked a few too many in his first 2 starts, but he's a lot better than that. Last year, 23 starts, 26.1% strikeout, 5.5% walk, 20.61 K minus BB. Eovaldi right there with him, 26% against 4.2. That's 21.88 K minus BB. Eovaldi just absolutely sparkling 1.73 ERA last year. The real number is the xFIP, the Sierra there, the slightly above 3 marks, but those are elite as well. Same thing's true for Kirby in the other direction. 4.21 ERA was too high last year. 3.25, 3.39 xFIP and Sierra. Those are the real marks. We know that George Kirby is that good. Fair amount of strikeouts from both pitchers. Good ability to control the plate, not put extra guys on, give away opportunities. Good ability to miss bats for both of these guys. Very, very good pitching matchup here. 78 is too cheap for Eovaldi. 82 is too cheap for George Kirby. Even facing talented teams. Rangers, a lot of talent, even with underperformance in the last couple of seasons. On the Mariners side, we know how good that team is offensively. They're out to a bad start this year, but that was also kind of to be expected. That's just the nature of this collection of players, is they don't get off to typically hot starts for whatever reason. If you choose to draw down against Eovaldi, Brendan Donovan's a good way to get things started. But as I said yesterday, 45 is just borderline fair, I think, for the type of bat that you're getting with Brendan Donovan. And 36 on FanDuel is honestly too expensive. There's no universe in which Brendan Donovan should cost more than both Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez in this lineup. The only player more expensive than him is Randy Arozarena. Come on, what are we doing? That's just stupid. But there he is. Decent piece to click on. Should be getting on base ahead of those power bats all season long and helping create runs. Raleigh, Bad start to the season. At least he's got a homer on the board, though. We know we're trending up from here with Cal Raleigh. We're not going back to 60-plus home runs, but I think 40-plus is still in the cards. Decent slash line, good run creator. So fire away with Raleigh. If you're going to this team, he's an absolute priority, but probably your most expensive catcher. I haven't checked all the catcher prices. Julio, bad start, phenomenal player. Another 30-30 season last year. Should probably get back up there. Would love to see him hit in April. Josh Naylor at 38.26, another guy off to a bad start, but those prices have declined. That is not a bad spot to grab some Josh Naylor shares if you're going to this team already. Those low prices also could be a reason to maybe start making the argument for going to the Mariners, despite Evaldi's quality on the mound. Naylor last year, 20 homers, 30 stolen bases. Hadn't done any of either one so far this year. Arozarena, the one player on this team, off to at least a decent start. 297, 447, 378, a 158 WRC plus. Apologies to Luke Raley. He's also off to a good start. Arozarena is expensive, but talented. He can fulfill those prices. I don't have a problem with him being priced there. I just have a problem with how the other guys bounce off of the Donovan price. 27 homers, 31 steals for Arozarena last season. Raley makes very, very good contact. Has for several seasons now. Needs to string it together into more consistent, better results. The same is true about Dominic Canzone, 2 spots later in this lineup. Those are your 2 priority bats above J.P. Crawford, who returns to this team now, and Cole Young down lineup. If you want to get different with those lefty bats down lineup, it's Raley, it's Canzone. Crawford can get on base. Not a great stat filler in other ways, but can get on base. Last season, he was mostly in like the 380 to 400 range for a big chunk of the season. I'm clicking on the wrong one. And ended up cratering down to 352, which is still a fantastic on-base percentage. I'm not saying it's not, but it's not 380, which he was at several seasons ago in his best year. And he was maintaining through at least half the season last year. And then again, just, kind of withered a little bit on us. And now he knows for sure that he's not going to be a Mariner after this season. They just gave that kid, Colt Emerson, like 8-year, near $100 million extension to take over this job. So his days are numbered. It'll be interesting to see what J.P. Crawford does, but he's very, very cheap for a guy who could be a cog in the machine. And if you built like a little 3-man down there, I would mostly want to do it on a day where they're not facing such a good pitcher, but that's not a bad, sneaky little 3-man for 3,200 on the nose. On the Texas side, Nimmo, fair option from the left side. I just don't really want to tangle with Kirby. Kirby did give up a little premium contact last year over the line in both of those. Slightly under in barrel rate, but it's not an extreme fly ball trajectory. Didn't hurt him for home runs, 2.86% last year. He's given up a couple long balls already this season, but I'm not concerned about it. So I don't love the Rangers here because typically I want a homer hunt with this Rangers team. Nimmo's okay. Needs to claw back the on base. He's done so far in 45 plate appearances. Good start to his season, 180 WRC plus. If he can keep up that kind of level of getting on base, he'll be more valuable this year. Langford at 41.26, not a bad price, bad start over 44, but there's a lot of talent there. One of their better players last year. Corey Seager still makes elite contact, 270, 364, 514, 3 home runs on the board, leads the team at 953 in today's home run model. Your absolute priority, and honestly, 4,400 is way too cheap for Corey Seager. You can see FanDuel's got him basically fully priced at 36, but that's a $4,000 FanDuel player. That's a $5,500 DraftKings player. Jake Berger at 42.35, priced up on FanDuel for his hot start. Pair of home runs in 43 plate appearances. DraftKings hasn't moved the needle so much. Berger, decent year last year in terms of the power output. No, excuse me. I'm wrong. 16 home runs last year in 376 plate appearances. I was thinking Christian Walker when I said that. Walker had a bad year, but still hit a fair number of home runs. Berger just was flat last year. 236, 269, 419, 89 WRC plus, only 16 homers in 376 plate appearances. Renewed version of Jake Berger would work wonders for this Rangers team. Jock Peterson, another guy, just flat last year. Bad start outside of one good batted ball event so far this year. Lefty specialist, but not against this righty. Evan Carter, more a line drive hitter, left-handed, okay bat at 36.27. I'm not looking to target George Kirby, but that's the kind of hitter I would want from down there if I was going to do so. Just a guy with an effective hit tool, ability to put the ball in play, maybe draw an odd walk from Kirby, but that's not really in the cards. Kyle Higashioka, we've always liked for his barrels and his surprise home runs. Hit that 1 year, 2 years ago of 17 home runs. That was after back-to-back seasons with 10, and last year he fell back down to 11. My expectation would be that for the season, Higashioka hits 10 or 11 home runs. Josh Smith, Ezekiel Duran, moving parts down the bottom of the lineup with multi-position for cheap. Kirby, Evaldi, Mariners, Rangers. 3 to go, 13 minutes till 6 o'clock. Not ideal. We're going to speed this one up. This is Coors Field. I love Mike Burrows in the long term. I think he's a talented young pitcher. I do not think it's a great investment at 6,000 nor at 7,900, on the FanDuel slate. Better pitcher than what we had yesterday, but that dude was priced at 4,000. That just made a lot of stuff work. Burrow's priced at 6, doesn't have that same impact. I think he could put up an equal start points-wise, find those 5-6 strikeouts, maybe get through 5, maybe even find a win bonus along the way. But the downside is too extreme, and the price gains are not enough at those prices. So you don't go there, and you absolutely don't want Kyle Freeland against this Astros team. Full stop. On the Astros side, top stack of the day, highest run total of the day, above 6. Pretty fantastic. We know most of the players in this lineup pretty well. We've got the confirmed in. Jose Altuve off the... it's Jeremy Pena in the top spot. Altuve moving down to 3. Pena, quality year last year, off to a good start this year. We're just looking for hit tool, a little bit of on-base skills. Hits the occasional home run, low strikeout, medium walk rate, so puts a lot of balls in play. Didn't hit him particularly hard so far this year, but saw a nice uptick in his barrels, his hard hits year over year last year. That was the big difference maker for him last year. If he can repeat that, it's an interesting bat. If he falls back to these levels, it's not an interesting bat. Great spot in the lineup, hitting ahead of baseball's hottest player, Jordan Alvarez, though. 353, 547.94, 253 WRC plus, 4 home runs on the board for literally the best lefty bat in baseball. I actually put it in chat the other day. I've been saying that about him for multiple seasons now and reminding everybody anytime we get him against the lefty. This is Coors Field, so we don't really even need to. But quite literally, the best lefty-on-lefty numbers since Barry Bonds, period. Statistically, he is incredible. He's incredible against anybody, but he's the best lefty hitter in baseball, and it's Kyle Freeland on the mound. 15.58. The only guy above the magic number, notably, in the home run model. A little surprised in there. Altuve, still very good. 55, 4,000. Just gets it done despite the numbers that say that he shouldn't. I think you continue going there until we see him literally just fall down on the field. That said, 55 getting up there. 4,000. Expensive on FanDuel, but it is Coors Field. Isaac Paredes, a little bit underpriced, maybe at 44, 37. Just needs to poke one into the left field corner. He's a dead pull hitter and just exploits stadiums with, like his home park, with cheap left field corner opportunities. Forget if Coors is okay for that, though. Coors is just a gigantic ballpark, but I don't remember how they measure out down the line. This would have been a limiter of a spot. Good as Coors can be for offense. Last season, the expected mark at home, for example, in Houston was 22 home runs. His actual total was 20. For Coors Field, it would have been just 16. That's a big drop from his, primo spots. So something to consider with Paredes. You do need him in the right ballpark most of the time. Not a bad hitter in general. You can still succeed if he's not hitting the home run. He went 265, 329, 442 last year. But you take the long. Oh, excuse me. That was Altuve. 254, 352, 458 with a 204 ISO, 20 home runs. As mentioned, Christian Walker, pretty bad season last year outside of the 27 home runs. See, I told you he had a good home run total. I like him to improve this season. He's already off to a good start with a pair of home runs, decent slash line, and a minimal number of plate appearances. Cam Smith blasted the longest home run of the season so far last night. He's got 3 on the year. He's another guy off to a very good start. 191 WRC plus. Coors Field ought to help him continue that. Jake Myers, mix and matchy. Johnny Diaz, one of my favorite catchers in the league. Just love the low strikeout, frequent bat on ball. 20 home runs in a bad season last year. I like him to improve on his overall slash line. Maybe we don't see a repeat of that home run total, but 15 to 18 home runs definitely in the cards, and a better slash line this year, better WRC plus as we go. Bryce Matthews, mix and matchy. Edward Julian, day 2 after I traded him over the weekend. Another day in the leadoff spot in a Coors Field game. Not looking great I traded him because I didn't think he was going to get the plate appearances. Kind of bothering me. 26, 27. I talked about him yesterday. He has a good eye, good ability to drive the ball. This could be an interesting bat if he gets a full opportunity here at Coors. So far, hasn't been great over 17 plate appearances, but dynamite spot in the lineup. Going up against a good but gettable starter in Coors. Again, this team has a 4.91 implied total today. They will be less popular than their opponents. Mickey Moniak at 34-33 is definitely interesting. Pair of home runs in one game the other day. 14 plate appearances, pretty good. Had a very good year last year. Has kind of fully broken out. Never going to be the player that was drafted first overall a few years back, but a good player with the ability to fill counting stats for fantasy purposes. Ezequiel Tovar's got a little power. Off to an okay start. The on base is ugly. Too much swing and miss in his game. I don't love the option, but at 4,100 in Coors Field, there's a good argument to be made. 33 is a fair price on FanDuel. Troy Johnston has some pop in the bat. 8% barrel rate in a small sample so far, but 2 home runs in 32 plate appearances. 341 xWOB under that glowing 417 mark. 152 WRC plus so far. TJ Rumfield right there with him on the left side. Last season, Johnston hit 4 home runs in 121 chances. Rumfield has 2 on the board in his first 36 plate appearances in the show so far. Not a bad pair of lefties there if we're just looking to target the righty, but probably some swing and miss there for Mike Burrows to exploit as well. Willie Castro, decent utility option, off to a bad start, but Coors Field should help him in the long term. Just put the ball in play, Willie. That's all we need out of you. Jordan Beck, 2020 potential results, quite a bit less than that. Brett Sullivan, mix and match. Kyle Karros, mix and match. Cheap prices at Coors Field down the bottom of the board. Astros bats, Rockies bats, both definitely in play. Rockies underappreciated. Do not play pitching here. Last two up, Yusei Kikuchi. For the Angels, Reynaldo Lopez. For the Braves, both of these lineups are now in. It's ridiculous. I think we're looking to target Kikuchi here. We've talked about him plenty over the years. Can find the strikeout, can find the effective days, but too erratic, too many walks, and way too much premium contact and power allowed over time. So not a pitcher we trust in any way. Would not stun me if Kikuchi came out, found some Ks against this Braves team, and had an okay day if he could keep the home runs off the board. It just seems less than likely. 4 guys in the confirmed version of the Braves lineup above the magic number for home run upside, including Acuna, Drake Baldwin, Matt Olson, and Austin Riley. As mentioned at the beginning of the show, you had to wait until now to get your home run pick for the day, but that home run pick, off to a terrible start, coming off of back-to-back down seasons, has not been great. Mr. Austin Riley, come on down. Time to barrel a ball. Time to get on the board, Austin. Let's go. Austin Riley, home run pick of the day, 4,000 at third base on DraftKings, 2,800 at third base, 11.96 in your home run model. Second on this team, ahead of Matty Olson, ahead of Drake Baldwin, second to only Ronald Acuna. Acuna at 57.32. I just noticed it. I wouldn't have buried the lead if I had noticed that price before. Ronald Acuna Jr. against Yusei Kikuchi cost $3,200 today. That's one of the dumber prices you'll ever see on FanDuel. Completely ridiculous. He should be 40% owned at that price. That is dumb. 57 on DraftKings is the more correct price. Ronald Acuna should never be under 4,000. Ever. I know it's a bad start. I do not care. Drake Baldwin, 45.38 to illustrate the point. He's off to a great start. 5 home runs on the board already this season. 195 WRC plus. Last year's NL Rookie of the Year, just mashing to start things off. Low strikeout, medium walk rate, puts a ton of balls in play. And if he consistently lowered that strikeout by 5 percentage points and made gains in the barrels department, look out world. Ozzie Albies at 42.29. Not a bad option from the 3 spot. Keep an eye on Ozzie. He's made some gains early in the year. None of it matters yet. But this is a player who used to be star caliber option at second base. If he maintains any of the gains he's made, it's a good player. And he's cheap right now at 4,229 on FanDuel. Olson's got all the power in the world. Pair of home runs on the board. Not a bad start for him. 148 WRC plus, 385 xWOB under a 392 actual. Riley, again, home run pick of the day, but a terrible start. Power's been out the last 2 seasons, only 16 and 19 home runs after multiple seasons hitting 30 plus. Needs to find it quick. Mauricio Dubon, mix and match. Eli White, mix and match with a little bit of pop in the bat. Jonah Heim, $2,100 catcher, not great. Jorge Mateo from the bottom, still blazing fast. Really inconsistent as far as actually reaching first base to exploit that. 8 pretty good plate appearances so far. He's gotten on in half of them. He's got a home run on the board too. Every now and then he can get into one, drives a little line drive and hits a home run, but 5 2 years ago with 13 steals and 208 plate appearances, 1 with 15 steals and 83 plate appearances last year. The name of the game for him, 32 steals and 7 home runs back in 23. Name of the game for him, get to first base, get the lineup back to Acuna, fill 3 positions cheap on FanDuel, 2 on DraftKings cheap, and hopefully steal a bag, score a run for us. But that's about all you should expect. On the Angels side, no confirmed line. Yes, confirmed lineup. Excuse me. Mike Trout is back in it. That is good. On the Angels side, going up against Ronaldo. Ronaldo, low strikeout rate in his first two starts, 1.64 ERA in those games, but a 5.07 xFIP. Gotten a little bit fortunate over his first two outings. Those look like 5 innings of 4 hit ball, 1 earned run on a home run, 3 strikeouts and a walk against the Diamondbacks in the desert, and 3 strikeouts, 1 home run allowed, solo shot, 3 hits, 1 run over 6 against the Royals. 2 pretty decent, pretty low strikeout squads. Angels are a much higher strikeout team. So Ronaldo maybe a little bit sneaky, 7,500, 8,600. I like that DraftKings price a lot more, but the Angels are showing power here too. 4 guys in their lineup are also above the magic number. It's the usual suspects: Neto, Trout, Soler, and Joe Adell. All of those guys totally believable for power upside against Ronaldo here, though. 4% home run rate in a tiny sample, 1 start last year. That's unfair. Just 1.85 across 25 starts a couple years ago. Did give up hard hit just under our exit velo threshold, a little bit under our barrel rate threshold. I would call this a little lucky to be at 1.85, but it wasn't disastrous contact that year. But power hitters like these Angels have could exploit that a little bit. Kind of a caught in between spot for the Angels. They're below a 4 total. I think maybe if it's changed, maybe they crept up above. I like them a little better than that, given the power and given the Trout in the lineup. Neto at 46-36, good option to start things off. 4 home runs on the board in an otherwise slow start to the season. Mike Trout has a pair of home runs. Down season in the slash line in the front end, the batting average and so on last year. Too many strikeouts last year, but the walks were still there. The on base, the run creation is still there. Just still an utterly elite player at any price. And honestly, at $5,000 on DraftKings is a little bit inexpensive. Shanuel, good on base option, good hit tool in the 3 spot. Ideal option to have hitting third, reset the table ahead of Jorge Soler and all his power. Soler, 1 bomb on the board and 82 WRC plus in a rough start after a very rough season. 31-25, a little bit of faith here, a little bit of historic upside showing there for Jorge Soler. I'm not willing to write him off just yet. Joel Moncada, good contact throughout last season. He's maintained it early this year. Hasn't seen the results really for it, but it capable enough option that you can go to him for a $3,600 price against Ronaldo. Joe Adell, phenomenal defense. 1 home run on the board, hit 37 last year. Stolen bases were down. We need those to come back to get the true DFS like superstar. But just on the power alone, you can always roster some Joe Adell when you're going to this team. You're going to get a lot of strikeouts. You're going to get a fair number of zeros, but the big days will be very, very big. Josh Lowe, playable outfielder for the cheap pricing. Travis d'Arnaud, always in play as a backup catcher, 2,600, 2,400. We've highlighted d'Arnaud for years on this show. Last year, bad season. 231 backup plate appearances, just 197, 255, 343, a 64 WRC plus, only 6 home runs. That was the real downside. He's never been good at hitting for average getting on base, but the power was always there. 336 plate appearances, 15 home runs, 292, hit 11 home runs. Always good for some homers, some ISO, little bit of run creation, but on any given slate, he's super cheap, and we need to fill catcher kind of a role. Travis d'Arnaud is ideal. Even in the down season last year, had an 11.4% barrel, just lost some hard hit around the edges. That is a good option for 2,600 where you have to fill catcher in a lineup that I think we want to get to a little bit here. And then Ozzy Peraza, I keep mentioning 2,400, getting regular plate appearances. Hasn't had the best start in the world, but they're really bereft of other options. This team has been good with reclamation projects, and he was a top prospect for the Yankees not too long ago. Still only 25. So that's a reasonable play, 2,400 to just be very, very sneaky from the bottom of the lineup. If he can get on base, he can steal bases. Could be a little bit interesting to wrap back around ahead of Neto and Trout, although there's no real justification for it in his major league numbers as far as on-base skills go. Braves bats. I'm going to go Angels bats for the power upside. Braves bats, Angels bats, Ronaldo, Kikuchi. As mentioned at the beginning of the show, by the way, if you weren't here, on that DraftKings board, or on that FanDuel board, if you need to go to a cheap starter on FanDuel today, Kikuchi's basically your only option. You're not playing Savali against the Yankees. You're certainly not playing Freeland in Coors Field against the Astros. He's the only offset price-wise. Everyone else is mid to extremely expensive, even down through these guys. And Mike Burrows at 79 is your next least expensive pitcher, and he's pitching at Coors also. Not a good day for cheap pitching on FanDuel. You got to hold your nose and take Kikuchi if you're going to do that. I think you just pay up at pitcher today, at least into the mid-range for like an Evaldi, even a Robbie Ray at 82, though I don't trust him. We're about to talk about that. Last game up, we didn't quite make 6 o'clock, but we'll rocket through this one and we'll get out of here, get NBA done, update the confirmed lineups here. It's going to be tight. Hope you're not playing NBA tonight. 388 implied total, 320 implied on the Giants side. This one looks like a better pitching matchup than a hitting matchup, but I do like the Phillies. I think they're getting a little bit of credit for Robbie Ray's good start to the season, or effective start to the season anyway, and a little credit for the bad hitting environment overall. This is a very good Phillies lineup. Wouldn't shock me if they had a good day. We've talked about all the premium contact that Robbie Ray has given up historically, and look where he's at to start this season. 17.2% barrels, not good. 4.65% home runs, typical Robbie Ray numbers. I have highlighted these in the past. He gives up a lot of premium contact even in his good years, even when he's finding the Ks. Found a few strikeouts so far this season. Had a 2 earned runs in both of his starts, 7 strikeout game against the Mets, 4 strikeout game against the Yanks, exactly 5 1/3 in both of those, 1 home run allowed in both. The downside is present. The Phillies are really good. I don't love Robbie Ray, but he's only 8,000 on DraftKings, 82 on FanDuel. I think he's 100% playable. I don't really want to get there. I wouldn't be excited to see him land in my lineups as I'm sorting and filtering and so on. Christy Sanchez on the other side, absolutely want to get to him. For one, Giants off to a terrible, terrible start for a mediocre overall lineup. There are a couple threatening hitters in this lineup, but it's not a great team overall. Christy Sanchez, excellent run limiter. He's been finding the strikeouts at an even better pace so far this season. Very, very good stuff. Excellent locator. He's just tremendous. 9,700, 10.8. I think it's entirely justified. Projects down slightly as compared to the Crochets, the Scoobles, the Skeenses of the world, but only just so on that short list for the next best starters on that tier of starters. Next best. So fire away with him. Grab some fills. We got 3 guys above the magic number plus Trey Turner and closing in on it. A couple effective bats down lineup here. So a lot to do with Phillies bats. Let me grab the Giants lineup while I'm sitting here staring at it. Turner, okay start to the year, coming off of a pretty good season, renewed production from his hit tool. Just need him to get on base, create some havoc out there. But he's capable of hitting a home run from time to time. Should hit 15 of them. I put that in the wrong spot. See? Get ahead of myself as I'm trying to talk and paste things in at the same time, and I end up costing us time. Kyle Schwarber, tons of on base. There will be strikeouts against Robbie Ray. There could certainly be a bunch of strikeouts, lefty spot here, but Schwarb's I'll take against anybody. 3 home runs on the board, a 370 on base in the small sample. That's just who Kyle Schwarber is. He's going to be on base and creating runs like crazy, hitting for power like crazy. When he's not doing that, he'll strike out. Bryce Harper, pair of home runs, otherwise kind of a slow start, 93 WRC plus. I have full confidence that Bryce Harper is going to be Bryce Harper when it's all said and done this year. Alec Boehm, very good limiter of strikeouts, puts a ton of balls in play, drawn a few walks in a small sample so far this year. 1 home run on the board that he hit in the first or second game. Pretty weak, 44 plate appearances, 75 WRC plus. He's a much better bat than that and getting consistent opportunities in the cleanup spot in between Harper and then the Stotts, Adolis Garcias of the world. Stott, 3,400, 2,800, cheap way to fill second base. Off to a bad start, but should hit for average, get on, steal a few bags, create some runs ahead of Adolis Garcia. Adolis, 2 home runs on the board. He's got a stolen base, can hit for power. I like his chances to get at least above 25 home runs. This is a guy who's consistently above 30. And I think the speed, I think they let him run a little bit. I think we're getting a dozen stolen bases, 15 stolen bases in a resurgent year. He's made great contact so far. Just needs to keep up the trends. Brandon Marsh, always been good for premium contact, good on base skills, interesting guy to wrap back around from down here. I just wish he was hitting 9th instead of 7th for that purpose, but not a bad bat, a little bit of pop in the bat, but typically not a big time home run hitter. JT Realmuto diminished, coming back down the other side of the mountain, still playable as a affordable catcher. And then Justin Crawford, pretty good, over 33 plate appearances. He's their big prospect, 355, 394, 419, creating runs 32% better than average in a meaningless sample, but a stolen base. Nice to start your major league career off that way. Not bad. Playable. And then we round things out with the San Francisco Giants. I almost said the New York Giants. That would be weird. Rafi Devers sliding down to the 5 spot here against the very, very effective lefty. I don't totally agree with that. I would just leave Rafi in the 2 spot. We get Matt Chapman up there at 4,100, 2,900, big right-handed thumper. He's got 1 home run on the board, 115 WRC plus. Concerning 251 XWOBA under a 337 actual if this was a larger sample, but it's not, so we're not going to worry about it. That said, there are reasons to maybe expect a little bit of a downturn to continue with Chapman, but I think he recovers it by maybe hitting for more power, by finding his way to first base a little bit more. I think we're okay with Chapman. Willy Adames, inconsistent, but very real power for 30 home runs. Going to strike out, does draw walks, does get to first base somewhat, but could do a lot better than that, and that would make him just infinitely more valuable if he was better at getting to first base. Luis Arias, good hit tool, otherwise kind of a weak option, 84 WRC plus to start the year despite hitting 295 over his 47 plate appearances. Elliot Ramos has plenty of power from the right side, very cheap at 3,200, 2,600, but I don't want to draw against Christy Sanchez here. Devers is Devers. You just fire away. If you're going to the Giants, you're playing Ravi Devers. I do not care about the lefty in that sense. 54, little cheap. 3,000, very cheap. Holy hell. Casey Schmidt, Radar Encarnacion, Daniel Susac, and whoever Jared Oliva is are mix and match quality players against this pitcher going down the lineup. I'm going to say that and leave it there so that we can buy some time. If you want one of them, it's probably Encarnacion just for the historic batted ball events. Maybe Casey Schmidt gets those back, but I don't like his chances. So mix and match pieces all down the bottom of the lineup. This goes Chrissy Sanchez, Phillies bats, Robbie Ray, Giants bats. You can see that I do not trust Robbie Ray. Never have, never will. Oh, and that's all of them, right? I didn't have an extra game. All right. Let me get out of here, you guys. 6:08. I need to get the NBA projections done and up on the website in the next 20-ish minutes or so. So let me go get that done. Hopefully that goes smoothly. If you're looking for those, keep an eye out. 6:30 should be the target time. I will get the confirmed lineups uploaded onto the website before I do that for baseball, though, so you guys can go build for what you're actually here looking for. You absolutely rock. Love all you guys. Subscribe over at Rotoscouts. Under $1 a day gets you access to everything that hits that website. Like and subscribe here on YouTube. It actually really, really helps. If you want to leave a comment, that actually also helps. Even if it's just like, hey, you're stupid. Everything you said was wrong. That's fine. Comment is a comment is a comment. I don't care if it's mean, nice, whatever. I do care. It really hurts when they're mean. No wonder why you got Cam. Bunch of nonsense information. This guy loves to hear himself talk. Yep, that's me, WW Fresh. Not sure who Vito is, but if you play MLB DFS off a spreadsheet, you're doing it wrong. Yes, of course. How do you do it, WW Fresh? I'd love to hear. Just pick guys blindly. Like, how do you think I built the spreadsheet if I don't know anything about baseball? How do you think I just talked off the top of my head for 2+ hours if I don't know anything about baseball? Excuse me, 1 hour and 55 minutes if I don't know baseball. It's absurd. It's just such a dumb comment. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, with that in mind, you guys, you can come back tomorrow and tell us, WW Fresh, all about your process. And like this whole, and I know they're trolls and it's fine, but the whole idea of like, we're doing it this way, so that means that my way must be wrong, or you're saying if you have a better way, go ahead, go do it, man. Nobody's saying you can't. Fine, knock yourself out. You do things your way, we'll do things our way. Who cares? Like, what does it take away from you that we do things our way? Guarantee I have one more large field GPPs than guaranteed I can spell better than you can. It's than you could ever wish, but probably not, buddy. We've won many hundreds of thousands of dollars in DFS I've been playing since 2014. So over the dozen years that I've been playing, we've won many additional thousands of dollars behind that in season long. Across every single sport, large field GPPs, small GPPs. I don't play heads up. I don't play cash games. You're probably better than me at those. Why would I want a not broken in new hat when I've got my old hats that I love? I'm not looking for a new hat. I think we just have different priorities in life, man. Anyway, I got to go do NBA projections. Better than that, better than you at that too. I'll see you tomorrow again. Good luck out there tonight. Somebody go win something. We'll be back for more of this tomorrow. Keep your eye on the showtime. That's why you got to subscribe, hit the notification bell. Later.